A series of lessons in personal magnetism, psychic influence, thought force, concentration, willpower and practical mental science. By William Walker Atkinson, LL.D. /am attacked by two very opposite sects, scientists and the know-nothings. Both laugh at me, calling me the frog carrot dancing master. Yet I know that I have discovered one of the greatest forces in nature. Galvani, the University of Psychic Science, Incorporated, 3975 to 3987 Cottage Grove Avenue, Chicago, USA 1901. To the memory of T. Prentice Mulford, a diamond whose radiance has been temporarily obscured by the meretricious glitter-op paste imitations, this little book is reverently dedicated, by one who regrets his inability to lay a more worthy offer upon the neglected shrine. Lest we forget. Preface. In justice to myself, I think it well to state that this work has been somewhat hastily prepared from the notes used by me in certain of my lectures, the lessons given herein practically being the syllabi of the said lectures. In the lectures, and in this work, my one and only purpose has been to acquaint the student with the means of developing, and effectively using, the mighty forces, personal magnetism and psychic influence. To this end I have sacrificed all pretensions to literary style, all latent within attempts to secure felicity of diction. I felt that I had a message to deliver, and I endeavored to deliver it promptly, clearly fine writing. I used it. And plainly, without any attempt at if a homely word seemed to express my thought, if a slang term or semi-slang phrase seemed to fit in it went. I trust that my critics will spare themselves the trouble of, pointing out my many defects of style and composition. Realize these things. Fully I have subordinated everything else, in my endeavor to make this work plain and practical. This is an explanation, not an apology. With the above understanding between us, I submit this little work to your kind consideration. Whilst fully cognizant of its defects, I still feel that it will be helpful to some of the many who are endeavoring to overcome unfavorable environments, that it may serve as a guidepost, pointing out the path to better things. I feel work of removing fiat out from the minds of men, of replacing I can't with I can and I will. I feel that it must do these things, for it contains within it the germs of a mighty truth. W.W. O. Chicago, 3, the 4th of December, 1900. That it will do its share of the nearer to the practical men keep, the less they deal in vague and abstract things, the less they deal in huge, mysterious words, the mightier is their power. The simple peasant who observes a truth and from the fact deduces principle, adds solid treasure to the public wealth. The theorist who dreams a rainbow dream, and calls hypothesis philosophy, at best is but a paper financier who palms his specious promises for gold. Facts are the basis of philosophy, philosophy the harmony oi facts. Happy Smiley, Thomas L. Harris, in Lyrics of a Golden Age salutatory. Lesson I salutatory. A self-evident truth, results, not theories, no pet theories advanced, accept nothing that you cannot demonstrate. Views of other writers, erroneous theories, vegetarianism, celibacy, vital fluid, deep breathing, real progress made by investigator, existence of personal magnetism, unquestioned, not by theories. Theories are but mighty soap bubbles, with which the grown-up children of science amuse themselves. The majority of writers upon this subject have devoted nearly all their efforts, as well as their space, to proving, first, that personal magnetism really existed, and, secondly, that the phenomenon was best accounted for by some pet theory of their /n. Some attribute the power of influencing men to the use of a vegetarian diet, notwithstanding the fact that some of the most magnetic individuals make graveyards of their stomachs. Others insist that in celibacy and abstinence from sexual intercourse may be found the secret, notwithstanding the fact that the majority of magnetic individuals do not differ in their sexual customs from their less magnetic brothers. Others hold that the magnetic force abounds in the air around us, and that, therefore, deep breathing will enable us to absorb great quantities of the vital fluid, charging ourselves with the force in the manner of the storage battery. And so on, each with his little pet theory. Now, I have no fault to find with the systems above mentioned. Although not a strict vegetarian, I sympathize with those of that belief. Although not leading a life of celibacy, I see much good in the doctrine of continence, and there can be no two opinions as to the merits of chastity. Whilst not accepting the theory of the absorption of magnetic force from the Earth's atmosphere, I am a firm advocate of, and believer in, deep breathing, and believe that if personal magnetism 10 much sickness and physical the same was universally practiced, weakness would disappear from the Earth. All these things are good, but a little reflection will show anyone that they are not the prime factors in the production of the quality known as personal magnetism. The writers on the subject usually conclude by telling their readers of the wonderful possibilities open to anyone who can acquire this power and learn how to use it. They, however, say little or nothing of how this force may be acquired, that is, beyond stating their theories. Not instruct. Theories they are preachers, and neglect, they deliver discourses but do teachers. They dwell upon, not facts. The real progress in this branch of scientific research has been made, not by writers or theorists, but by a few earnest investigators who have conducted numberless experiments, and have brought this plod every avenue of information and wonderful subject out of the realms of mere speculation and placed it upon a scientific basis. The writer has been a close student and investigator of this subject for many years, and the present work is an attempt to give to his students some of the fundamental principles derived from the investigations and practical experiments of himself and his. Our lessons therefore will be confined, proven facts, and practical instruction, touching upon theory only when absolutely necessary. In my opinion, I would insult your intelligence if I were to present to you an elaborate argument, the purpose of which would co-workers in this so far as is field possible, to statements of be an attempt to prove the existence of that wonderful force, latent in man, developed by the few, but possible of acquirement by all, that mysterious quality called, for want of a better name, personal magnetism. To set out to prove its existence, would be akin to an attempt to convince the average intelligent man of the fact that the magnet influences the needle, that the X-rays penetrate the body of man, or a still more solid object, that a message can be conveyed by electricity, along a beam of light, or even, by wireless telegraphy, through the air without the need of any other medium. Every salutatory intelligent person is aware of the existence of the above-mentioned phenomena, and does not need to have the same demonstrated if he is interested in the subject at all. Any wishes to be to him taught how to operate these forces, so that he may be able to reproduce the experiments himself. Student of personal magnetism. Such a force exists. This is equally true of the he has long since learned that he sees it around him every day, and knows he, possibly, is aware that he has developed the force to a certain degree, and what he wants, in any event, is to become acquainted with the wonders that are accomplished by its aid. Means whereby he can fully develop force latent within him. And intelligently use them. Make no attempt to therefore, shall demonstrate the existence of this force, believing it to be self-evident. I also intend to avoid a tiresome discussion of the numerous theories which have been advanced to account for the phenomenon of personal magnetism. will endeavor to teach. I have no pet theory you how to obtain to results, advance. I and you can then read up on the subject of theories, or possibly formulate a new theory of your own. I will state briefly my own conception of the cause undul 5DNG, the phenomena alluded to in this work, but I shall not attempt to force my views upon you. You are at liberty to accept or reject any theory, as the result in no way depends upon any. Many of those who have obtained the best results, have discarded one theory after another, and now special form of belief. Say that they do not attempt to explain the real cause undulged as the results, being content to work on, without a dogmatic theory, so long as they know how to obtain the results. With this explanation, I will leave the land of theory and enter into the realm of practice, and will endeavor to so instruct you along the lines of the development and use of this mighty force, that you may reproduce the results already obtained by others, and perhaps may become investigators and leaders in the work of blazing the way through the woods of superstition and mystery with which the subject has been surrounded so long. Ask you to accept nothing that you cannot prove to your own personal magnetism. 12 Faction, by your own experiments, after you have acquired a working knowledge of the subject. In our next lesson we will take up the subject of the nature of the force. The nature of the force. 13 Lesson IL The nature of the FOC. The force not magnetic in its nature, subtle current of thought waves. Thoughts are things. Our thoughts affect ourselves as well as change of appearance following change of occupation. Thoughts take form in action. Thought the greatest force in the world. I can and I will versus I can't. Practical instruction, not transcendental discourses. The adductive power of thought. Fear others. Thoughts the root of injurious thinking. To the minds of most people the term personal magnetism conveys the idea of a current radiating from the person of the magnetic individual, drawing to him all those within the radius. This idea, whilst on the whole erroneous, of his magnetic force, still contains within it the germ of the real truth. There is a current of attracting force radiating from man, but it is not a magnetic force in so far as the term magnetism implies some connection with the lodestone or electricity. Current, whilst bearing some resemblance the human magnetic to these two familiar forces in its effects, has no real connection with them so far as is concerned its origin or intrinsic nature. That which we call personal magnetism is the subtle current from the human mind. Every thought created by our minds is a force of thought waves, or thought vibrations, projected greater or lesser intensity, varying in strength according to the when we think. We send from us a subtle current, which travels along like a ray of light, and has its influence on the minds of others who are petus imparted to it at the time of its creation. Often far removed from us by space, a forceful thought will go on charged with a mighty power, and will often beat down the instinctive resistance of the minds of others to outside its errant pressions, whilst a weak thought will be unable to obtain an personal magnetism. 14 Trance to the mental castle of another, unless that castle be but poorly guarded. Repeated thoughts along the same lines, sent, one after the other, will often effect an entrance where a single forward/thought wave, although much stronger, will be repulsed. It is an exhibition of a physical law in the psychical world, and exemplifies the old saying about steady dripping wearing away a stone. We are all influenced much more than we are aware by the thoughts of others. Thoughts. I do not mean by their opinions, but by their. A great writer on the subject very truly says, thoughts they are things, and most powerful things at that. Unless we understand this fact, we are at the mercy of a mighty force, of whose nature we know nothing, and whose very existence many of us deny. On the other hand, if we understand the nature and laws governing this wonderful force, we can master it and render it our instrument and assistant. Every thought created by us, weak or strong, good or bad, are things. Healthy or unhealthy, sends out its vibratory waves, which affect, to a greater or lesser extent, all with whom we come in contact, who may come within the radius of our thought vibrations. Thought waves are like the ripples on a pond caused by the casting in of a pebble. They move in constantly widening circles, radiating from a central point. Of course, if an impulse projects the thought waves forcibly toward a certain object, its force will be felt more strongly at that point. Besides affecting others, our thoughts affect us, not only peripherally, but permanently. We are what we think ourselves into. The biblical statement that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he is literally correct. Own mental creating. We are all creatures of our. You know how easy it is to think yourself into a tedious state of mind, or the reverse, but you do not realize that repeated thought upon a certain line will manifest itself not only in character, which it certainly does, but also in the physical appearance of the thinker. This is a demonstrable fact, and you have but to look around you to realize it. A man's occupation shows itself. You have noticed how in his appearance and general the nature of the force. 15. What do you suppose occasions this phenomenon? Nothing more nor less than that thought. If you ever have changed your occupation, your general character and appearance kept pace with your changed habits of thought. Your new occupation brought out a new train of thought, and thoughts take form in action character. You may have never taken this view of the matter, but it is true, and you may find ample proof of its correctness by nevertheless, merely looking around you. A man who thinks energy, manifests energy. Thinks courage, manifests courage. The man who thinks I can and I will gets there, while the I can't man gets left. You know that to be true. Now, what causes the difference? Just plain everyday thinking, that's all. Of course, the action follows the thought. But why? Just because it can not help itself. Thinking. Action follows as the natural result of vigorous you think in earnest, and action does the rest. Thought is the greatest thing in the world. If you do not know it now, you will before you are through with this course of lessons. You may, no new thing to you that you knew all about making up your mind and all that sort of thing, long ago. Then why did you not put it into practice and make something of say that this yourself? Is I will tell instead of I can you the trouble. You thought I can't, now, I am going to change that I can't into a big /can and a bigger I will. That is what I am here for, and I intend to make you over before I am through with you. I suppose that you thought I would give you an elaborate, up in the clouds, and transcendental discourse on things away, hoped that I would tell you how to charge yourself up with a lot of magnetism, so that you would be able to light the gas with the tips of your fingers, or draw everybody to you like a piece of steel to a magnet, now, didn't you? Well, I am not. But I intend you how you can generate in yourself a force, compared with which magnetism is weak, a force that will make a man of to tell you, a force that will make you realize the I am within you. A power that will enable you to be a man of strong personal magnetism. 16 ties, a man of influence, a successful man. I will tell you how you can acquire that hitch you have been calling personal magnetism, providing you will start at it in earnest. It is worth working for, and when you feel your new strength developing within you, you would not exchange your newfound knowledge for a fortune. /y, you feel a little stronger already, don't you? Of course I never have talked 5 minutes to a class of students about I can and I will and about the I within them with the I'll do. Out there throwing back their shoulders, raising their heads, taking a long breath, and looking me square in the eyes as a man or woman should. It was thought manifesting itself in action. See the point? I do. You had planted the little seed of self-knowledge, and it had begun to sprout. Before I conclude this lesson, I wish to direct your attention to one other very important thing about thought, and that is the adductive power of thought. Pay attention to this, please, as it is of the highest importance. Avoiding all attempts at a scientific explanation, and keeping // carried away from technical terms, I will state the matter concisely. Thus, thoughts attract like thoughts. The good thought attracts other good thoughts, the bad thoughts of strength, likewise, thoughts of discouragement and doubt follow the rule, and so on through the entire gamut of thoughts. Your thought attracts to it the corresponding thoughts of other and increases your stock of that particular kind of thought. Do you see the point? Think fear thoughts, and you draw to yourself all the fear thought in that neighborhood. The harder you think it, the greater supply of undesirable thought flocks to you. Think I am fearless, and all the courageous thought force within your radius will move towards you, and will aid you. Try it. That is, try the latter. Don't think fear thoughts. Do you know that fear and its oldest child, worry, are at the bottom of more misery, more unhappiness, more failures, than anything else in the world? Fear and hate are the parents of all the vile thoughts. I will go into this matter with you at greater length in the nature of the force. Quint lessons, but let me urge upon you now, with all the earnestness of which I am capable, to tear out those vile weeds, fear and hate. Tear them out by the roots. They spoil the whole garden and breed hosts of other weeds, such as worry, doubt, timidity, lack of self-respect, jealousy, spite, malice, envy, slander, and morbid ideas. I am not trying to preach you a sermon, but I know that these vile thoughts are hindering your progress, and you will realize it, too, if you will stop to think. For open the blinds, and let the pure sunshine of bright, cheerful and happy thoughts pour in, and the microbes of doubt and despair and failure will leave, and seek more congenial a moment. Quarters. If you were my dearest friend, and I knew that this message would be my last on earth, I would shout to you, as loud as my vocal organs I thoughts. Would permit, let go of fear and hate, personal magnetism. 18 Lesson 3. How thought force can a one do. Success dependent upon personal influence. Strong men arrive rule, when negative men produce, money the material manifestation of success, money a means, not an end. The law of mental control. Influence through suggestion, influence by thought vibrations. Influence bx thoughts. Adductive power, influence acquired by apparent exceptions to the positive men reap the benefit. Character building. I am addressing you upon the supposition that you are desirous of developing the forces within you, for the purpose of attaining success. Success in life depends very materially upon the shorn of the quality of attracting and influencing our fellow men. No matter what other qualities you may possess, you are handicapped by a lack of that subtle force which we are in the habit of calling personal magnetism. See that nearly every look around you and you will man who has arrived is possessed of the ability to attract, persuade, influence or control his fellows. Are all what is known as strong men. Exceptions to this great rule, the rule itself. Men who have these there are a few and these exceptions only go to prove exceptions are usually found among demonstrated their success along lines of art, scientific research, invention, literary work, etc., and it will readily be seen that their success, from the very nature of things, depends more upon a close, concentrated, plodding research or effort, rather than upon push, energy, force and knowledge of human nature, or ability to handle men. These men are successful in their own lines of endeavor, but, as a rule, the results of their labor are reaped by others of a more worldly turn of mind. If these burners of midnight oil meet with financial success, it is because some more positive man has taken charge of the business end of their work. How thought force can aid you. 19 And pushed it through, in which case the said positive man usually reaps the lion's share. This being the true state of affairs, I am justified in regarding meaning the attaining of financial reward, and that must depend largely upon the personal magnetism of the seeker after success. The inventor, student, writer, and scientist can be greatly benefited by an understanding of the intelligent use of success as the powers of mental control, but to the man among men remains the privilege of securing the best results of that wonderful power, for it brings him not only success, but also manifestation. It's money. Material money, regarded as mere money, is not a high ideal, but regarded as the means of surrounding ourselves with the best things of life, it becomes no unworthy goal for human endeavor. I, therefore, feel justified in treating it as the end to be sought after. To repeat, success in life depends largely upon our ability to interest, attract, influence and control our fellow men. I do not think that you will require any argument upon that point, that is, if you have had any acquaintance, whatever, with the world of men and affairs. The next thing is to learn how this wonderful and valuable power may be acquired. The answer is by the mastery of the law of mental control. That is the secret of not only personal magnetism, but also of success in life and of happiness as well. 2. The man or woman who masters this law, the world is an oyster to be opened and enjoyed in comfort. Even he who lacks the application and perseverance to follow up the exercises for the development of his latent powers, will be stronger and more positive from a mere acquaintance with the subject. This is all very well, you say, Huck, tell us how we may develop this power. That is just what I am doing now. I am leading you up to an understanding of the theory, by easy steps. I wish the idea to unfold naturally, so as to avoid giving you mental dyspepsia. Now, for a summing up of the general theory, before I take up the subject in detail. Personal magnetism. 20 I have told you that the power of thought could be used in a number of ways in the direction of influencing men and gaining. I have given you an idea of how thought operates in the success direction named it. Before proceeding to our next lesson, I think well to again call your attention to the several different ways in which thought can aid you in attaining success, through the influencing of men. Thought will aid you in the following manner. By the use of your positive thought force in the direction men in person, through the law of Sug. By this I mean that you will be able to interest men in gestion. 1. Of directly influencing your schemes and plans, enlist their aid, secure their patronage and influence them generally. This faculty, natural to some men, can be acquired by any man or woman who has the will power and perseverance to develop it within them. Most students of the subject are desirous of acquiring knowledge of this branch of mental control before the other phases of the subject, and I, therefore, will take it up in 3. My next lesson. By the power of direct thought vibrations set in motion by your mind, which will exert a powerful effect upon the minds of others, unless they understand the secret of guarding against these forces and rendering themselves positive to others. An understanding of this law will also enable you to present a positive mental attitude toward the thought waves emanating from the minds of others. By the power of the adductive qualities of thought, which 3. Works upon the theory of like attracts like. By holding certain thoughts, constantly, in your mind, you attract to you thoughts and influences of like nature, from the great body of thought surrounding us, unseen, but all-powerful. This power is one of the strongest forces in nature, and if properly used will attract thoughts or assistance from the most unexpected quarters. things and possess a wonderful power of attracting to themselves other thought waves of the same vibratory pitch and quality. For by the power of thought in shaping your character and how thought force can aid you. 21. You know it as temperament to meet the requirements of your organization. Lack certain qualities needful for your success. Well, if not better than anyone else, but you have been deluded by a belief that these shortcomings were a part of you and that to you the study of the law of mental control comes as a mighty ally, for you can overcome these deficiencies, and can acquire new characteristics and qualities, as well as learning how to strengthen those which you have already. Leopard cannot change his spots. Carrot, I will endeavor to start you upon the right road, by this series of lessons. I will point out the way for you, but you must do. The man must work out his own salvation, in this study, as in every other branch of human endeavor. Work yourself. Every personal magnetism. Lesson 4. Direct psychic influence. The three great methods: direct SUG, thought waves, the adductive quality of thought, what suggestion, the dual mind, hypnotic suggestion, the active and passive functions, the qualities of the two functions, human sheep, the two brother partners, the passive brother, the active, the dead easy man, the hard brother, their respective as nails man, how to elude the vigilant partner, never take feminine no for an answer, in business or in love, 14 win the day. Love laughs at locksmiths. Confidence influence in a personal interview. Gestion is traces will. In this and the next lesson I will endeavor to make plain to you the process whereby an individual exerts an influence over his fellow men, in a personal interview, and interests them in his schemes and plans, enlists their aid and support, secures their patronage, and influences them generally. Are able to accomplish these results. We all know men who, and yet we content ourselves with wondering at their strange power, without endeavoring to acquire it. The art of influencing men or women whilst we are in their presence, of necessity includes the other several methods of mental influence mentioned in the preceding lessons, the nature of each. It is difficult to and partakes of speak intelligently of this phase of mental influence, without covering the entire ground intended to be explained in subsequent lessons. I must content myself with a general reference to these several different branches of the subject, as you will meet them later on, at which time I will take them up at greater length. I would suggest that after completing this series of lessons you take up this particular lesson again, and go over it carefully a second time. You will have a much clearer idea of the subject then, and many things which direct psychic influence. 23 now seem more or less vague and unsatisfactory, will appear clear and easily understood. In influencing men whom we meet face to face, we affect them in a number of ways, which may be roughly summed up in three forms, viz. By direct suggestion through the voice, manner, appear J1. Ants and I. This includes not only voluntary suggestions on our part, but also the suggestions made involuntarily by every earnest /man. By thought waves directed to the other person by a vow to uttery effort of our mind. By the adductive quality of thought, resulting from the 3. Process of controlled thought, of which I spoke in the preceding. This force, once generated, operates involuntarily and constitutes the most striking phase of what we call personal magnetism. In this lesson I shall confine myself to the first mentioned form of personal influence, and will take up the succeeding forms in subsequent lessons. It is a most difficult task to give an intelligent, comprehensive idea of the subject of suggestion, in the limited space at if the student has acquainted himself with the predisposal underlying notism or notic suggestion, he will suppose mean when I say suggestion. To those who have not had this advantage, I will say that a subcarrot readily understand just what digestion is an impression, consciously or unconsciously received D_C through any of our senses. We are constantly accepting or re-injecting suggestions, the acceptance or rejection depending upon the /degree of suggestibility in ourselves, the degree being caused by S, the development or cultivation of the non-receptive qualities of the J mind. We cannot attempt to go deeply into the subject of what is known as the dual mind in man, which has been variously designated as the objective and subjective minds, the voluntary and involuntary MMDS, the conscious and subconscious minds, etc. If the student this subject, is desirous of acquainting himself fully with, would suggest that he take up some good work on /personal magnetism. 24. There are several good hypnotism or hypnotic suggestion. Would suggest the works of Dr. Herbert books on this subject, but IA Parkine is best fitted for his purpose. In order that the student may grasp the idea that I wish to convey regarding the use of suggestion as a means of exerting personal influence, I would have him understand that the mind has two general functions, which, following the terms used by me in my other writings, are known as the active function and the pass-V. The active function does the volun-S and also manifests what we call will-J-hour. It is the function used frequently by the active, energetic, the passive vigorous, wide-awake man, in his busy moments. Function does the instinctive, automatic, involuntary things, exhibiting no willpower and manifesting on entirely contrary lines from the active function. The passive function is a most valuable servant of man, and really performs the greater part of his mental work, doing all the drudgery and fulfilling its allotted works uncomplainingly, without receiving praise or thanksingly, and apparently without an effort, and never seems to tire. The active function, on the other hand, works only at the promptings of the will, and uses up a greater amount of nervous force than its passive brother. It does the energetic active work of the mind, and tires after a great deal of effort and cries out for rest. You are conscious of more or less effort when you employ the active function, but not so when you use the easygoing, faithful, good-natured passive function. I think that you understand the distinctive features of these two functions, from this brief function, respectively. Terry, volitional thinking, 1, explanation. Some persons do nearly all their thinking along passive lines. Such persons find it too much of a task to do their own thinking, and prefer the ready-made thoughts of others, to that of their own production. They are practically human sheep. They are very credulous and will accept almost any statement made to them. These work sense, Chicago. May be obtained from the University of Psychic SCI Direct Psychic Influence. In an earnest, positive manner. 25. These people are very suggestible and are practical, at the mercy of those of a more active mind. They find it hard to say no and are inclined to say yes if others are not quite so. Is easier and requires less thinking. Gestible, and some are scarcely suggestible at all, at times. But the latter, when they relax and give their active function rest, are much more suggestible than at other times. To enable you to form a mental picture of the two functions, for the purpose of carrying out the instructions given in this course, I will ask you to imagine a pair of twins who are associated as partners in a business enterprise. They look exactly alike, but have very different qualities, and each one is well fitted for the performance of the special duties which he has undertaken. They share equally in the profits and losses of the business. The passive brother attends to receiving goods, filling orders, packing goods, keeping the stock in order, etc., while the active brother attends to selling the goods, the general management of affairs, financing, pushing things along, and, in short, is the executive of the concern and its active spirit. When it comes to the buying of goods, however, both brothers take a hand. The passive brother is a good-natured, easygoing, dead easy ** sort of fellow, a plodding, automatic, mechanical sort of man. He is somewhat set in his notions, rather superstitious and bigoted, but very credulous and apt to believe almost anything one may tell him, providing the new statement does not directly to get a radically new idea into his head. It is necessary to insinuate it into him, conflict with some of his preconceived notions. H.J. degrees. Brother, he is in the habit of deferring to the opinions of his when the latter is around, and, in his brother's absence, to the opinions of other people. He will be apt to grant you any favor or give you almost anything you ask, providing you make the request in a firm, confident manner. He is afraid of hurting your feelings by a refusal, and will promise you anything to get rid of you, and to avoid giving you a positive refusal. You can sell him almost anything if his brother is not watching him, if you go about it right. All you have to do is to put on a bold, confident front, and take things for granted. You know the type. Personal magnetism. 26. The active brother, however, is a very different sort of a. He is a suspicious, watchful, wide awake, hard as nails *. There is no nonsense about him. He finds sort of individual fellow it necessary to that the interests of the firm do not suffer. Is keep a close watch on his passive brother in order the passive broth carrot always getting stuck by somebody, or on something, and really needs some sort of a guardian, and if the active fellow carrot happens to take a nap or be too busy with his work to keep an eye on the passive brother, something latter is sure to happen to the _ the active partner, accordingly, is not inclined to allow / you to meet the passive brother, until he knows you pretty well, he or thinks that you have no designs on the easy fellow. Watches you carefully and inquires into your business, and tries to find what you are up to, before he will allow you to see the other partner. If he thinks that you have designs on the easy fellow, he will tell you that his easy brother is out, etc. Even if he allows you to see his brother, he will watch every motion and listen to every word, and in case he thinks that you are going to play some sort of a game on the easy man, he will put his foot down on the scheme and call the deal off. He considers every proposition, and accepts it, if reasonable, or rejects it if not. H.I. grows less suspicious when he becomes accustomed to your presence, and may even grow to have considerable confidence in you. He also may be entertained and amused, at which times he relaxes, if his suspicions are once / vigilance and grows less suspicious. Allayed, you may be able to get in a word with the other brother, in which case you have made a great advance, for the easy brother, once acquainted with you, will himself contrive to make the next meeting easier. He feels lonesome and chafes under the restraint / imposed upon him by his brother, and when he once makes your acquaintance he will be on the lookout for another chance to have a chat with you. The first step is the hardest. Please remember that the mind of every man or woman is a partnership, composed of functions represented by the two characters with which I have just endeavored to acquaint you. There is a difference, however, in firms. The passive partner is pretty, direct psychic influence. 27 Much the same in all cases, although in some he manages to have his own way more, and in others he is kept still further in the background, the difference being caused by the degree of positiveness in the active partner. Active partners. There is a great difference in these. Some of them are splendid examples of prudence, watchfulness and sagacity, whilst others possess these qualities in a lesser degree, and some are nearly as easy as their passive. Some of them can be bulldozed, others coaxed, others tired out into relaxing their vigilance. Some of them get so interested in something that they do not brothers. Flattered, notice that the visitor is getting well acquainted with the passive brother, and may even allow him to give an order for goods. One has his own peculiarities, his weaknesses. Each has a man no stronger than his weakest point. The obvious rule is to find that weakest point and direct the attack right there. You will readily see that the main thing to be accomplished is there are many to elude the vigilance of the active partner. Ways of doing this, the thing to do is to find out the best way. If one way does not work, try another. Win eventually done if you keep at it you will faint heart never won fair lady. Gone about properly. It can be done every day. It is easy with some, and hard with others, but it can be done with all of these watchful partners if you will only keep pegging away at it. Ziva takes for an answer. Pursue the same plan in business that you would if you were courting the girl you loved. In the latter case, a no or two, or a dozen for that matter, would pursue the same tactics in your business, and you will win the day. Fortune is feminine, you know, and possesses all not count. Of the characteristics of the sex. Suggestions gain force by repetition. Proposition a man may reject when first made, but upon hearing the same thing over and over again, he will get to believe it. To wonder, you believe it yourself, from the mere repetition of it, and why shouldn't may produce no apparent effect at may be like a seed planted in fertile soil, which will have sprouted by the time you come again. By he. Moreover, a suggestion the time it is given, but talking properly to the active partner and getting him interested. Personal magnetism. 28 You have enabled the passive brother, actuated by curiosity, of which he has a full share, to draw near and overhear your conversation. He will often think over the overheard words after you have gone, and the next time you come he will manage to get an interview with you, in spite of his stern brother. Love laughs at locksmiths and sometimes. You should carry the above mental picture of the so does the, two functions of the mind brother. Passive fellow at his brother carried the active partner and his passive with this picture in your mind, you will be able to direct your suggestions to the best advantage, and also to guard yourself against the suggestions of others. In influencing a man with whom you come in personal contact, you will not have to depend entirely upon the power of suggestion in overcoming the watchfulness of the active partner of his mind. You will be aided by two powerful allies, i.e., direct thought waves consciously projected by your mind, and by the involuntary adductive qualities of thought. These powers can be highly developed by the exercises which will be given you during this course of lessons. You will also learn how to acquire charm, making a good impression upon the active brother, who is apt to be impressed by external characteristics calculated to aid you in appearances. There is one thing which you must learn, however, and that is confidence and a belief in your ability to master this subject. The swimming power is inherent in every boy, but he doesn't believe it. As soon as he believes that he can swim he swims, but so long as he believes that he can't he cannot. He chooses to improve in the art of swimming by practice, but he had the swimming power in millimeter from the beginning, and is like a boy learning to swim. All he needed was belief. You have within you the art of it and have confidence, you will find it hard work. You can do it, and have but to strike out. You can begin on easy exercises at first, but you must have confidence from the start. Some men discover this by accident, and do not know the reason of their success. You know the fluencing others, but until you believe reason, now carry it and can do as well and better than the man who has stumbled upon the truth. A little worldly wisdom. 29 Less of V. A little worldly wisdom. How to influence the active partner, conversation, the art of listening, a delightful conversation, keep yourself, appearance, apparel, clean linen, perfumes, cleanliness, manner, reserve, temper, fearlessness, self-respect others, frankness, earnestness, firm hand consideration for shake, the eye, tone of voice, a useful rule, how to remedy Carlyle and his visitor positive deficiencies in manner. In the preceding lesson I compared the two functions of the mind of each individual, to the two brothers, partners in a busy for the convenience of explanation. I will continue this illustration, which is quite applicable to the real estate-ness enterprise of affairs. This active partner is a particular old fellow, and needs he is ingenuanced, considerable humoring, and careful handling. To some extent, by the conversation, appearance, manner, voice, eye, etc., and each active partner has his own tastes and peculiarities, although there are some things which they all have in common. As to conversation, we should if possible ascertain what if you please him in this respect he is aptest the old fellow to lose sight of his duties as guardian of his easy brother. You should therefore learn to talk to him about things in which he is make the mistake of talking too much. You should talk until you get him well started on a favorite topic, and then you keep quiet. You interested, but do not give the old man a chance. Should cultivate the art of listening, for it is one of the most many a man, or woman, has risen to a high position simply by being a good listener. You may remember the old tale told of Thomas Carlyle, a visitor valuable accomplishments in the world. Once called on him and being a good listener and a student of human nature as well, managed to get him started talking on a 30-personal magnetism favorite subject. Carlyle talked for over 3 hours without giving the visitor a chance to get in a word edgeways forward. When the caller at last rose to depart, Carlyle accompanied him to the door, in a surprisingly good humor, and bade him goodbye, saying, "Come again, Mon, we've had a most delightful conversation. Do you see the point? Listen attentively to the old active partner, and act as if each of his words was a bright golden dollar, fresh from the mint, but do not fall under the influence of his spell. Vage earnest attention to what he says, but do not let his thoughts produce any real impression upon you, or else he will be selling goods to your passive partner. Keep yourself positive, not negative, for you will have a word to say to the easy brother after the old fellow becomes intoxicated with the exuberance of his passion and relaxes his vigilance. Over by all means cultivate the art of intelligent listening. As to extremes appearance, of middle eye flashiness would advise you to avoid the two and dowdiness, respectively. You should particularly avoid clothing calculated to attract special attention, either by its of the extreme style or the reverse road. The apparel should be simple, neat, and do not wear a shabby hat or shoes, for these things are a man with a good hat and neat, well specially noticeable. Clean shoes may pass muster even with well-worn clothes, if clean, whilst with a shabby hat or muddy or shabby shoes the clean effect of linen is lost. Always wear clean eschew the use of strong perfumes. Even a fine suit of clothes, these things count. To most men strong perfumes are an abomination. Necessary to add that personal cleanliness is scarcely an important prerequisite for obtaining a favorable hearing with the majority of active partners, even though they be not so particular themselves. Your manner should be pleasant and cheerful, yet not frivolous. A certain degree of reserve is desirable. Should be well under control. Your temper, of course, anger is a sign of weakness, and the angry man is always placed at a disadvantage. You should be absolutely fearless, both physically and morally, the latter being the rarer quality. If you are quick-tempered, or strength, a little worldly wisdom. 31 Apt to give way to a fear of misfortune, or worry, etc., you should pay particular attention to the lesson on character building, and correct these defects. Your manner should convey the idea of self-respect, but should likewise show a delicate consideration for the feelings, likes and dislikes of others. If you lack the latter quality, you should cultivate it by all means, as it is of paramount importance in creating friends and in gaining the favor of active partners, the latter being only human in spite of their rough exteriors. If you will carry in your mind this thought, I act towards you as I would like you to act toward me, and make the thought take form in action, you will acquire this valuable quality. Cultivate a frank, open manner. Most people like it. Be earnest when you talk. It not only holds the attention of the people to whom you are talking, but is a valuable aid to you in having your suggestions accepted, and, besides, is an important factor in imparting force-thought vibrations. Cultivate a firm, honest, your manly handshake. Nobody likes to have thrust upon him a flabby, limp hand. Don't yourself. Do not forget this. If handshake, start to work and get it at once. Everyone as if shake hands with he were your best girl's millionaire father. Then look people square in the eye. You have not the proper, and I will have more to say about the power of the eye in the next lesson, but I wish to call your attention to it in connection with the hearty handshake. The two go together. Cultivate an agreeable tone of voice, avoiding a mumbling utterance on the one hand, and a loud boisterous tone on the other. An excellent rule is to pitch the voice to the tone of the party with whom you are conversing, providing always that you do not shout in order to keep pace with the other person. If the other man shouts, keep your own voice even and subdued, and he will soon drop to your pitch. This, by the way, is a good plan to adopt with a person who is excited and is attempting to give you in such a case. Keep your temper and see that your voice is subdued and steady, and you will find a good tongue lashing. Voice of the other man, or woman, gradually dropping down to personal magnetism. 82 Your pitch. As he lowers his voice, his temper subsides, and he try it. There is much a flexible, well-modulated voice is most pleasing, and feels ashamed, and you have VP on the day. In the voice wins many victories for its fortunate possessor. Let your voice this is express the shade of feeling which you wish to convey. One of the most potent forms of suggestion is an expressive voice of the principal tools of the successful suggestionist. The student must not despair if he lacks some of the important requisites to success, above mentioned. He should know that every one of these gifts is trouble to acquire it. Within his reach, if he will but take I explain this point fully in the lesson on character building. Another very important medium of influencing others, including our old active partner, is the I. The human I. Who does not know its power, and yet how few know how to acquire the secret of its use. One could write volumes upon its power as a weapon of offense and defense, and its aid in influencing man and the lower animals, and yet not begin to exhaust the subject. I will devote our next lesson to an explanation of the use of the eye as an influencing medium, how to acquire the magnetic gaze, and how to avoid the influence or the eyes of others. The magnetic gaze. Avoid winking, blinking or snapping the eyelids. You can overcome this practice by determination and proper thinking. If your eyes tire by reason of the exercises, bathe them in cold water, and you will experience a decided relief. You will find that, after a few days' practice, you will have but little trouble of this kind. Personal magnetism. 42 Lesson 8. The Volic Force. Quality of thought and the volic force. Varying manifestations of thought vibrations. Definition of volation and volic force. A most potent force, the real man. The I am, its recognition, its importance. Man attains hitherto unknown powers. The soul of man. The will, the secret of the development of the will. Active and passive mentation, the projection of thought waves. Distinction between the adductive. In the preceding lessons, I have given you an explanation of the manner whereby one person may attract another, in a personal the person interview, by means of the power of suggestion, etc. in his work. By thence making the impression upon another is aided two other forces. The first of these assisting forces is what is known as the adductive quality of thought, of which I will speak in subsequent lessons. The second is the eulative influence of the mind of one person over the mind of another. There is a marked difference in these two several manifestations of the power of the mind. In the first instance, the adductive quality of thought, once being set in motion, affects others without a conscious effort of your mind, your mere thinking strongly of certain things, setting a mighty force in motion which influences others. In the case of volation, the mental vibrations are sent out and impelled by the conscious exercise of the will power of the sender, and are directed towards some special object. When the impelling power is withdrawn, the vibrations cease. I find no term in general use which is specially applicable to this for tip of thought force, and as I do not desire to continue speaking of it as the conscious effort of the will, producing thought vibrations, and impelling the same toward a given object, I am driven, by necessity, to the coining of a name to express this idea. The volic force. 43. I shall, accordingly, hereafter use the term volation, to indicate the idea above defined, the said word being derived from the Latin word volus, the will. This word must not be confounded with volition, meaning the free exercise of the will in making a choice. I shall also use the term eolic, from the same source, meaning of the will. The eolic power is one of nature's most potent forces, and at the same time is the least understood. It is exerted more or less unconsciously by all men. Some are aware of its effects without understanding the laws of its production and development. It may be greatly increased by intelligent practice and training, if one will devote to the task the necessary time and effort. I will give you exercises for the proper development of this power, in the lesson upon concentration. To be able to make intelligent use of the eolic force, it is necessary to understand the real nature of the will, and to understand the real nature of the will, you must realize what is the real man. Many of us have been in the habit of thinking of the ego I of ourselves as merely the physical body. Materialistic point of view. That this is the mar others think of their I as a mental creature having control of the body, and having his abode in the brain. This is partially correct, but is only half the truth. Realize that there is a higher self in man, and others few have recognized that higher self and live in accord with its dictates. Real ego, or I, is as much higher than mind, as mind is higher than the body, and both body and mind are subordinate to it. Both are its tools and are used for its work, when it sees fit to use them. The real self is that which we feel when in times of reverie and introspection, we think or say I am. Felt this consciousness of the real self, all of us have at certain times in our but have failed to realize its full importance. Lay down book for a few moments, and, relaxing the muscles of your body and assuming a passive state of mind, think quietly and lives, calmly on the words I am, and endeavor to picture your real self, superior to both mind and body. If you have secured the 44 personal magnetism, proper state of mind and body, you will perceive a glimmer of the presence of the real self within you. Continue the practice. Awaken in your mind a perception of the truth. Nothing can injure or destroy the real self. The body and mind may pass away, but the I am is eternal, and impregnable to harm. It is powerful, and, when the mind has learned to adapt itself to its influence, man becomes like another being, and acquires hitherto it will unknown powers. The purpose of this series of lessons does not permit me to dwell at length upon this subject. Its importance demands a work of many volumes to do it even faint justice, but I wish, at this point, to direct the attention of the student to this vital truth, with all the earnestness of which I am capable. Take whatever view you wish regarding the instructions given you in this course, accept its teachings or reject them, as you see fit, but let this one thought sink deeply into your mind: the I am is to yourself. When your mind recognizes its master, you witty have learned the secret of life. I have planted this thought seed in your mind, and it will grow and evolve a beautiful plant bearing a flower whose fragrance will surpass that of earth's fairest blossoms. When its leaves unfold and show the flower in all its beauty, then will you know that you have found yourself. Lord of 1,000 worlds am I, and I reign since time began, and night and day, in cyclic sway, shall pass while their deeds I scan. Yet time shall cease ere I find release. For I am the soul of man. Cleals H. or / that which we mean when we say the will is a manifestation of the individual, bearing nearly the same relation to it that thought does to the mind. When we speak of developing the will, we really mean the developing of the mind to recognize and be controlled by the will. The will is strong enough, it does, of the I not need developing. This is contrary to the generally accepted volic force doctrine, but it is correct, nevertheless. 45 A strong will current is flowing over the psychic wires, but you must learn to raise the I trollage pole to the wire, before you are able to move the mental car. Happy smiley man thinks along two different lines. One class of thinking, which we have called passive unctation, is little more than instinctive effort. It sort of thinks itself and requires little or no volic force for its production. Another class of mental effort, which we will call active mentation, is produced by a greater or lesser demand of the mind upon the power of the will. I can merely call your attention to this face 7 as a detailed treatment of the matter is without the scope of this work. I have gone deeper into the matter in some of my other writings, to which I must refer in this work. I am called upon to teach how and not you. Why / and, therefore, I do not care to take you beyond the border, of the realm of theory. The more man thinks along the lines of active mentatio the reverse is, of course, likewise true. The man who understands the law of mental control is placed at an immense advantage over his brother, whose stronger and more forceful are his thoughts. Follows the calf path of passive mental effort. Thoughts of all kinds are projected by the mind, and they from the individual, influencing others to a vibrations go out one greater or lesser degree, according to the force of the impelling _J effort. Passive thoughts are less powerful than active thoughts, but the former, if constantly repeated, have much force. It will be seen, readily, that in order to produce a direct effect upon the mind of another by thought vibrations, an effort of volition is _J required. The stronger the effort, the stronger the effect. The next lesson will be devoted to the subject of the exercise of the power of volition. Personal Magnetism 46 Lesson 9. Direct volition. The I desire, some not willing to pay the price of men's success, men who have mastered occult power, the vibratory force, telepathy, thought transference and mind reading, masters of the art guard their secrets. The prime requisite for acquirement exercise of volition in personal interview, expectation, some men but puppets, general instructions, power must not be used to harm others, a warning, Satan's terrible example, how to will a thing, exercise making a person turn around. Exercise 2. Influencing a person, a public place. Exercise 3. Influencing a person without looking directly at him. Comical result. Exercise 4. Suggesting a forgotten word. Remarkable result obtained by a German student. Exercise directing the motions of another person. Exercise 6. Window exercises. Influencing passers-by. Fascinating experiments, to be used for your own development, not volation. The measure of success. Leaders of men possess it. Uncan Napoleon Bonaparte, aware of the truth. Strong science acquirement. Feel I, in, 5, for amusement or to satisfy vulgar curiosity. The exercise of violation differs very materially, in degree, among different men. It may be stated, broadly, that a man exerts an influence over other men in an exact ratio to his measure of volation. The leader of men has developed this power to a imperatively high degree, although perhaps unconsciously and without a knowledge of the workings of the mighty force which is operating in his behalf. Many such men frankly admit that they are unable to explain or account for their power over men. They know that they have some sort of power, but are ignorant of its nature or laws. Napoleon is a striking example of the man of his will was imposed upon millions of men who obeyed his commands, and he accomplished results from remarks dropped by him, it little short of miraculous. Highly developed volation. Seems probable that he had, at least, a faint idea of the force at direct volation. His command, 47, and he acted in accordance therewith, for a while. He afterwards attempted to misuse his power, lost sight of the source of his strength, neglected its and laws. You will fail. Notice that all successful men instinctively feel the I strongly, /hay have faith in themselves, and frequently feel that they have they, like Napoleon, special providence overlooking their affairs. Feel that they have a star of destiny. Is an instinctive recognition of the I am. They have but a glimpse of the truth, and have made the most of it, their strong desire for power, fame, or riches pushing them on, and causing them to instinctively avail themselves of the powerful aid of the ego. There are many who recognize the power of the I am, some of whom understand its laws, and these men do not assert themselves in the struggle for material reward. They have the power within them, but desire is not there. They are content with the lesser material rewards, and are not willing to pay the price of what is known as success or the mastery of men. Many men who have mastered the occult powers, scorn wealth, position and fame, and exert no desire for them, feeling that these things are unworthy of their powers, and preferring to use the forces at their command for what they consider higher aims. They say with the prophet, vanity, vanity, all is vanity, and with Pilk, what fools these mortals be. The law of compensation seems to even all things, and wealth, power and position do not always bring happiness. The old sayings, uneasy the head that wears the crown and there is no rose without its thorn, are literally true. However, I do not purpose preaching a sermon on life, nor every individual must choose, for do I wish to point a moral himself, and no man can decide for another. I say, however, there's only one way to do things you must put your hand to the plow, select your goal and then move straight. Where you do it right. And that is to do them. And look not backward toward it, sweeping from your path all obstacles. To accomplish your aim, you must have desire strongly present, and must recognize your real self, the I am, in order to exert what is generally known as willpower in the furtherance of your plans. Personal magnetism. 48. In the preceding lesson I have defined volation as the seos effort of the will, producing thought vibrations and impelling them toward a given object / in the ordinary way the vibratory force may be exerted upon the occasion of a at short range, sonal interview. It also may be exerted in a much less understood way, by means of long-range vibrations, sometimes called tele. The first form is quite common, and we all have seen exhibitions of it. The second form is somewhat rare, and those who understand it best have but little to say about it. It is practiced quietly, however, by many more persons than we usually dream of in that connection. We see mild examples of it in what is known as telepathy or thought transference, mind reading, etc., but these exhibitions are usually given by those who understand the subject very imperfectly. I know several persons who partly have developed this power to a wonderful degree, and in no case will they consent to an exhibition of their powers to any but a few chosen friends, with whom they are in perfect sympathy and who happen these people to be likewise familiar with the subject. Know the real nature of the power of which they are making use, and will not degrade it by making it the subject of an ordinary show. They are content with their knowledge and seek to convince no one else. They are not looking for converts, and, in fact, discourage any attempt to make public their occult knowledge, believing that the time is not yet ripe for such publicity, and that its promulgation at this time would result in its misuse. The prime requisite for the acquirement of the art of violation the I am. More complete the recognition, the greater the power. I cannot, is, the recognition of the power of the real self. Give you specific directions for acquiring this faculty of recognition. Q2 must feel it rather than reason it out. You will not be in doubt as to whether you are on the right track, will realize it at once. You, as near as I can express it to you, is to say that you will feel that your body is as a suit of clothes, which, whilst covering you temporarily, it not you that you are separate, and apart from your body and superior to it, although for the time being connected with it. You will realize that even your mind is direct volation. 49. Not you, but that it is merely the instrument through which you manifest yourself, and which, being imperfect, prevents the complete expression of your real self. I. In short, when you say or think you are conscious of the existence of your real self, and each feel the growth of a new sense of power within you. Of the self. This recognition may be but faint, but encourage it and it will grow, and whilst growing will manifest itself to your mind by my pressing upon the latter the knowledge of the proper plan or further development. It is an example of to him who hath shall be given, and to him who hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. The mere calling of the attention to the fact may awaken the recognition in some, whilst others will find it necessary to reflect upon the idea and awaken to a recognition of the truth more slowly. Some will not feel the truth. To such one say, the time is not yet ripe for your recognition of this great truth, but the seed is planted and the plant will appear in time. This may seem like the veriest nonsense to you now, but the time come when you will admit its literal correctness. To those who feel the first indications of the awakening of the real self, will I say, carry the thought with you and it will unfold like carrot theli, and gradually, the truth once recognized cannot naturally be lost and dredges no standing still in nature. To those who / recognize the truth, I would like to say more, but this is not the place. The practice of concentration, as explained in a subsequent the / thought, IAM held in THG Islands Happy Smiley Hills TURC once rating, Sun, will enable anyone to develop this idea of the real self. I will grow stronger and stronger. To exercise the power of volation in influencing others, in a / personal interview, you have merely to make a strong mental demand of the other person, accompanied with a consciousness of your right to do so, and the belief that your command will be forward / obeyed. You must fully expect that your command will be obeyed. In all mental processes the earnest expectation I__pry__ if you have only a faint, half J factor in producing the effect. Hearted expectation, you will have only halfway results. You personal magnetism. 50 will realize the reason for this after you have completed this course, the matter being explained in subsequent lessons. Now, do not understand that you will be able to approach anyone, and, by simply willing and expecting the results, make that person do just what you will. You could do all of this if the person had no power of mental resistance, no volic force of his own to counteract yours. Selves have but little. Some persons, unfortunately for them, volic force, and are but puppets in the hands of those who know the secret of personal influence. Others have a little more of the force, and so on, until the high stages are reached. I do say, however, that you will obtain some degree of success / from this plan from every person with whom you come in contact, the degree of success depending entirely upon the degree of volic J force of the other person, as compared with your own. You will understand this better after a few trials. Do not hesitate about commencing to practice this form of mental influence at once. You will improve by practice, and will grasp the theory better from remember the boy not being able to swim until believedly kpulled, and tried. You should of course having put it into practice. Use volation in connection with the power of explained in preceding lessons. Suggestion as you will be able to concentrate your powers of command by observing the exercises given in the lesson on concentration. In other lessons, I will explain why these occult powers should not be used for any evil purposes or in working harm to anyone, but I think it well, at this point, to caution students against any misuse of this power. Such practices, besides being wrong morally, will result to the disadvantage of the practitioner, and if persisted in will wreck his prospects, in the end. He may be successful temporarily, but the result in the end will be disastrous. There are good occult reasons for this, and I hope that my warnings will be heeded by anyone reading this course. Is no there harm in using this knowledge and information toward promoting your legitimate business interests and your welfare, providing always that no harm is inflicted on the person influenced. You may influence a man to deal with you, and if you treat him fairly. Direct volation. 51 You are making no misuse of your powers. But, on the other hand, if you should influence a man for the purpose of swindling or cheating him or doing him other harm, you commit a great wrong for which you will someday suffer in proportion to the wrong perpetrated. I am not speaking of punishment in a future life, but right here in this world. As ye sow so shall ye reap holds good in this case. There is very little likelihood of your misusing your powers of violation, for when you attain them fully, you will instinctively recoil from the idea of working evil by means of your new-found strength. There are, however, a few men in the world, who, like Satan, use their mighty power for evil, but, like Satan, these men are doomed to extreme misery and unhappiness. They are like fallen gods. The best exercise for the development of volation is of course concentration, but it may be interesting to the student to be able to try his hand on a few simple tests so as to gain confidence in himself. I append a few exercises for this purpose. Many others try only easy tests at first, and then gradually work up to more difficult feats. Practice makes will readily occur to the student. Perfect. Let me say here that when you will anything, do not get the notion that you must frown or clench your fists or anything of that. The force is attained by a calm, undisturbed attitude, the willing being done in the form of a calm, earnest demand, and the thought that what you expect will occur. The earnest expectation is the secret. Be discouraged, you will soon get the knack of it. but keep at it until do not you get things working smoothly. In our next lesson we will take up the subject of long-range T-carotolation, or, more properly, telepathic volation. Exercises. Exercise 1. Whilst walking down the street, fix your attention upon someone walking just ahead of you. A distance of at least 6 to 10 feet should separate you, and a greater distance is no obstacle. Fasten a firm, steady, earnest gaze upon your subject. Personal magnetism. 52. Focusing the gaze upon the back of his neck, just at the base of the brain. Whilst gazing firmly at this point, will that the subject head and look around in your direction. Shall turn his forward / practice is a little required to perfect yourself in this exercise, but after you once acquire the knack of it, you will be surprised at the whom you can affect in this way. Women seem to be more highly susceptible to this mental influence than are men. Exercise 2. Fix your gaze upon someone sitting ahead of you / in church, theater, concert, etc., focusing your gaze upon the same point as in the previous exercise, and will that the person shall percentage of people forward / j look around. You will notice that the subject will fidget around in his seat, appear more or less uncomfortable, and finally half turn in his seat and direct a quick glance in your direction. Experiment will prove more successful with persons know than with strangers. This whom you the better you know the person, the quicker the influence will manifest itself. The two exercises just given can be indefinitely multiplied by the principle is the same in all the ingenuity of the student. And strong, earnest, expectant willing or demanding the result, being the prime factors in producing the phenomenon. You, of course, realize that the concentrated willpower can be developed by the practice of the exercises given in the if you find difficulty in producing the lesson on concentration. Above results, you will know that your powers of concentration are not sufficiently developed, and you will accordingly perfect yourself cases, the concentrated gaze in this respect. Exercise 3. Select some person who may be seated on the opposite side of a street car from you, but several seats to the right or left of the point directly opposite you. You may look straight, you were not looking at the other part, but you will be conscious of his presence, and will see him ahead, so as to appear as if out of the corner of your eye. Direct a strong mental demand toward him, willing and expecting that he will look in your direction. If you manage it properly, you will find that in a few moments the party will suddenly glance in your direction. Semi-direct volation. 53 times the glance will be directed in a seemingly unconscious man / no, just as if the party had merely felt a passing fancy to look at you, whilst in other cases the glance will be shot at you, suddenly forward / and sharply, as if the party had been conscious of a mental call. Forward / the person obeying the call often will look embarrassed, and forward / somewhat sheepish, when he meets your full magnetic gaze which you have directed upon him when he turned his eyes in your forward / direction. Exercise 4. When talking with a person, and he seems to see / tate in the choice of a word, glance sharply at him, a strong mental suggestion of a word, and give him _J. In many cases he will immediately repeat the word which you have suggested. Your word must be appropriate, as otherwise his passive mind may hesitate about using it, and his active mind will step in and insert forward / another word. Some students have tried this experiment in the etc., and have related many ease of a public speaker, preacher. Amusing instances in their experience. I remember reading a work, translated from the German, in which is mentioned the case of a youth whose powers of concentration and volation were most highly developed. He was a student at a leading college, and being more interested in athletic sports than in study, ran a great risk of falling behind in his work. Having discovered his powers, accidentally, he contrived a plan in the furtherance of which he would commit to memory but a few answers in each lesson. When the professor would start to quiz him, he would send forth strong vibrations, willing the happy smiley prof to select certain questions, the answers to which he had memorized, the result being that he stood well up in each class. The German writer, however, went on to say that this plan failed the young final questions man in his examination, as the being prepared by the faculty and submitted in writing, the student had no opportunity to try the willing game on the day of the examination. Exercise 5. An interesting experiment is that of willing the carrot movement of a person in a certain direction. This can be tried when walking behind a person on the street, by focusing the gaze carrot as instructed. When the person approaches another person walking personal magnetism. 54 In the opposite direction, you may will the subject to turn either to the right or left, in passing the other person. This you may also try experiment in the case of a person approaching you in carrot. In this case you should walk straight ahead, turning neither to the right nor to the left, keeping your gaze fixed on the street. Approaching party, and making a mental command that he turn to the right or left, as you will. Exercise 6. Stand at your window and fix 3 hour eyes upon an approaching person, at the same time willing that he turn his head and look at you whilst passing. You will find that he will obey your mental attraction, 7 times out of 10, providing your powers of concentration are sufficiently well developed. Even without the practice of the concentration exercises, you will be able to influence passers-by sufficiently often to satisfy you that there is something in it. You will be able to obtain better results in this particular experiment, if you will stand at a first window rather than at a window higher from the ground, the motion of obeying the impulse and merely turning the head carrot being so much easier than the motion of looking up to a second or third floor window. The percentage of results obtained by the first plan will greatly exceed those of the latter one. This exercise may be varied by the plan of compelling the attention of a person seated at a window which you are passing, and so on. When you once begin to practice these exercises, you will find it so fascinating that you will invent new plans of testing your power, you being governed by the particular circumstances of the occasion. These exercises will do much to develop confidence in your powers, and to aid you in acquiring the knack of sending out they are of course more or less trifling unworthy of the exercise of the mental powers, in their nature, and except as a means of practice. They should not be used merely for the amusement of the student, and never for the amusement of one should never trifle with these mighty forces, nor his friends. The vibratory impulses. Exhibit them for the gratification of the vulgar curiosity of others. The student who grasps the real significance of the law of mental control will have little or no desire to parade his knowledge, but direct volation. 55 He will experiment freely, in order to gain the benefit of practice, etc., but will always do so will reserve his results for himself. The understanding that he is merely paving the use of his growing power way to a higher personal magnetism. 56 Lesson X Telepathic Volation, Wonderful Progress of Psychic Science Thought Transference Vibrations Wonderful Proficiency of some general knowledge Not desirable Danger of its use for improper telepathy An accepted fact, purposes, practical uses taught, general theory, how to obtain the best results, advantages of concentration, use of telepathic volation prior to interview, to attract at a distance, how to obtain rapport conditions, full directions, mental contact at a distance, telepathic thought waves, mental pictures, moving of thought waves, The psychic tube, how to form and use, self-protection from the thought vibrations of others, positive mental attitude, to shut out outside thought projections, how to prevent outside pressure and influences, effect of previous thought influences, personal interview, matters rendered much easier, proper mental attitude, esoteric teaching for those prepared and qualified to receive, man find death that which he seeketh, die it in it muns or coal. I will not attempt to take up your time in endeavoring to convince you of the existence of telepathy. Psychic science has made such wonderful strides of late, that not only are its students fully aware of the truth of telepathy, but the general public as well are fully posted on the subject, and generally accept it as an exegesis or wireless established fact, as readily as they do the telegraphy. In fact, the public has always believed, in a general way, in thought transference, and the recent scientific experiments in telepathy have but served to confirm many people in beliefs which have been always entertained by them. The purpose of this lesson, therefore, is not to convince you of the fact that telepathy or thought transference fact is an existent, but to give you an idea of the proper means of using the same to your own advantage. Every thought, whether voluntary or involuntary, causes thought waves or vibrations to be projected into space, which telepathic volation. 57 vibrations affect the minds of others to a greater or lesser degree. There is a way to project thought vibrations toward another person, in a straight line, and thereby attract his attention to you. This plan, compared to the ordinary plan of undirected projection of thought waves, is as a rifle ball compared to a load of mustard seed shot. The rifle ball is vastly superior, providing you aim straight. Some masters of mental science have attained a wonderful proficiency in the art of telepathic volation, and some of the results secured by them would be deemed incredible by those not familiar with the laws of directed thought vibration. These results have been accomplished only by years of study, experiment, and the leading of a life far different from that of ordinary men. I fancy that very few of my readers would care to pay the price of such attainments. It is well, perhaps, that this power is not easily acquired, as otherwise many might master it and use it for unworthy purposes. I am in the confidence of some of the masters of this wondrous power, and have witnessed many startling exhibitions of thought transference, but as the promise of secrecy was exacted from me by these friends, my lips are of course sealed. Outside of these considerations, it would be of very doubtful wisdom to spread, broadcast, information of this nature, which would place within the means of unscrupulous persons the power to work their wills upon their fellow men. Even as it is, fragments of this occult knowledge some have stumbled, have leaked out and have been misused by accident, upon some of the first principles, and have pursued the matter as far as their limited knowledge would permit, often securing results which both surprised and startled them. However, the purpose of this course of instruction is not to attempt to make its mystics, yogis, or wonder workers, but merely students, venerable masters of occult law, to give them a working knowledge of the laws of personal influence by means of the exercise of the powers of the mind, in short. Personal magnetism. This being the case, I shall not dwell upon the wonderful phenomena produced at will by the masters of this science, but personal magnetism. 58 will proceed to give you an idea of the first principles and practice of telepathic volation, which will be useful to you in your everyday life. I shall not attempt to carry you further than the mere compelling the attention of the person whom you wish to influence, even if you are hundreds of miles removed from that person. If you wish to pursue the subject further, by reading and experiment, you are at liberty to do so, but I warn you that you will find the attainment of the higher degrees of this science no easy task. The primary degrees, which I will now teach you, are quite easy of when the theory is once understood, and need only practice to make perfect. As I have said before, all thoughts produce vibrations which attainment, spread like the ripples on a pond, produced by the casting in of they affect people in all directions. If, however, you throw the pebble along the surface of the water, the ripples will pebble. Manifest their energy in the direction in which the stone travels. So it is with the vibrations of telepathic volation, as compared with, for instance, suppose that you wish to attract the attention of any person whom you are desirous you may think earnestly of interesting in your behalf. Desire to interest him, and if you have read something of mental the vibrations of ordinary thought science, you may picture him as being interested in you. By so doing, you will undoubtedly send forth strong thought vibrations in all directions, some of which will reach your man and may affect him to a greater or lesser degree, depending materially upon your degree of positiveness to him. At the best, he receives no stronger impulse than does any other person in any way connected with you. But, on the other hand, if you so arrange your mental telegraphic apparatus that the strong vibratory impulse travels in a straight line to the desired person, the message will be received far more clearly. Carried forward / the impact of the vibrations will be much forward / stronger. In order to produce the best results, you should practice the exercises in concentration given in this course. You will be able knowledge of concentration, to produce some power. I will assume that you have why, but with it you have tenfold I results without a telepathic volation. 59 Acquired a working knowledge of concentration, and have now, for the production of results. Tick the exercises. You expect to have an interview with a man, in a few days, in which you hope to interest him in your plans and enterprises. This man is perhaps a stranger to you, or at least is indifferent to you, and there exists no attraction on his part towards you. You know that you will be able to influence him by the methods already explained, but you wish if possible to open up direct communication with him before the interview him at a distance. Get en rapport with you are perfectly right in feeling that your chances of success will be improved by these means, as, once you manage to get en rapport with a man or woman, you have gained an important point, for that person cannot help feeling an interest in you thereafter, perhaps a strong interest. The best plan for you to pursue, under the above circumstances, is to establish a mental rapport with your man by means of telepathic volation. Your first step is to get by yourself, in some quiet place, and either lie down, or sit down in an easy chair. Get at ease, and relax every muscle, let go of your body until you are damp cloth and are scarcely conscious of having a calm yourself and secure passive, restful frame of mind, as limp as a body. Thinking of nothing outside of yourself, and, above everything else, shut out all disturbing fear thoughts. You will be able to do forward / this easily by concentration. After you have secured the proper conditions, think intently, but calmly of the other party. Do not frown or clench your fists in your efforts to think, but remain passive and relaxed. Effort must be a calite, steady mental effort. You will be assisted by the closing of the eyes and the production of a mental image of the person with whom you wish to get en rapport. If you never have seen this person, make the mental figure without distinct features. After a few trials you will notice that the mental picture seems more real to you. In fact, you realize that in some way you are in mental contact with the other person. When this stage is attained, then you will let your mind dwell on your wishes in regard to this person, and imagine him doing as you wish. Your /I personal magnetism. 60 Principal mind picture, however, must be that of the man himself, the daydreams of you wish merely shaping the lesser thought waves. These lesser thought waves are, of course, moving in circles in all directions, but are reaching your man with much greater force than usual, the direct line of communication being open. You will improve greatly by practice and experiment. As this holds the connection between his acting as carrot, the best results are obtained when you get the impression of looking through a long tube about 1 foot in diameter, you being at one end and your man at the other. This impression, which can be acquired by concentration, is an indication of perfect rapport, and indicates that you have succeeded in shutting out all outside impressions and have opened up the psychic line of comm. When you attain this stage, you may rest assured communication that you are making a strong impression, unless the man at the other end of the psychic tube understands the law of mental control and has felt an indication of thought vibrations being directed towards him, in which case he will assume a positive mental state. Moment, that the more passive the other man may be at that better will be the results. A little practice will develop this power, and you will get the impression of the tube more clearly, and will form a much clearer mental picture of the other person. Some little practice may be required before you can obtain this mental impression of the long tube, although some students seem to be able to produce it fairly well at the first trial. You, of course, will have secured the necessary passive condition in yourself. The next step is to produce the mental impression of the tubular connection. This will appear first as a faint, shadowy ring, which by degrees will become more distinct, and will resolve itself into the shape of an open end of a tube. The tube will then lengthen out, and, later on, you will be able to see clear along its enormous length. You may obtain this result in a few experiments, and, on the other hand, may be required to practice it a number of times. It seems to be greatly a matter of obtaining the knack of forming the mental picture. You can obtain good results without telepathic volation. 61. The production of the tubular effect, but the best results seem to be obtained by those who can produce this effect. I may as well tell you at this point, that you should cultivate the positive mental attitude, as it will enable you to obtain much better results and will prevent you being influenced by the exercise of volation on the part of others. If you feel an indication / outside influence, you have merely to form the thought recognizing the I am, which will impart a feeling of psychical strength to you at on CE, and render you impervious to the vibra by a full appreciation and recognition of the higher self. You will surround yourself with a thought aura, which will protect you, without any voluntary effort of the mind from outside mental influences. Until you fully acquire this recognition, you merely have to hold the thought for a moment, assert your real /self by the affirmation I am, accompanied with the mental conception of the real self. A mental image of yourself surrounded by a protecting thought aura which deflects the vibrations of /others, will, of itself, create an aura of moderate proportions which will last as long as you hold the thought, and will act as a perfect /actions. 1. Defense against outside vibrations. You should practice the pro-cuction of these mental pictures, as the result will be of great value to you. If you ever feel that you wish to be alone and able to think without taking the opinions of others into consideration, just sit down and shut out the vibrations as above stated, and you will be surprised at the clearness of thought which will result. Are you in my next lesson about the influence of thought as to say here that the thought vibrations, but it may vibrations of others, even when not directed at us, move in widen circles, affecting us all more or less. Nature has provided us will tell, with instinctive powers of resistance, but nevertheless we are affected more or less by the thought vibrations of others, and what we think are euphops are often merely consensus of the opinions of others with honey we are surrounded. The change of residence by a man may result in his changing his views of religion, politics, ethics, etc., to correspond with the general impressions of his new environment, the change being wrought by the effect of the com/personal magnetism. 62 Bin thought waves of his new neighbors. A little reflection will remind you of numerous instances of this phenomena. Waves o' popular feeling will sweep over a country, arousing nearly everyone, and then will die out as suddenly as they came. Able crowd may be converted into a savage mob. Emotions and opinions of a peace and so on, the man being molded to a greater or by the quality of the thought waves reaching him. Readily see how valuable is the knowledge which will v lesser degree you will enable you to shut out these outside impressions, at will, and allow you to be governed entirely by your own reason, /ment or intuition. Do not pass by this matter lightly, for the time may come when this knowledge will be of incalculable benefit to you. There are times in which clear thinking is of vital importance to every man. A powerful pressure may be brought on you to do a certain thing, and you are undecided just how to act. You need your best thought at this point, and the way to get it is to surround yourself with the protecting thought aura, and whilst secure your own mental castle, decide what best to be done. Many of your best decisions will be made in this way. Means acquire the art. By all I have digressed somewhat, in my desire to instruct you in the means of defense, and we will now resume our discussion of offensive methods. We will suppose that you have followed the up of direct mental connectment, by means of telepathic volation. When later on, you come into his presence, you will find that he seems to evince more interest in you than formerly. He will act as if he is better acquainted with you, and has known you for years, and will consequently cause you to feel more at home with him than instructions regarding the openings with your usual. I do not mean to say that he will, of necessity, do just what you have willed that he should. You have not advanced that far, but he will show a disposition to meet you halfway, and matters will progress much more smoothly than might have been expected. Of course, a repetition of the exercise of telepathic volation will tend to ease up matters still more. Do not be discouraged at seeming failures, but keep at it and success will come when you least expect it. 1J. Telepathic volation. 63 In all interviews maintain a fearless, confident frame of mind, and do not forget to use the power of your eye. The latter often reopens the connection previously established by telepathic volant, makes the balance and re-establishes the rapport conditions of the interview much more in conformity with your desires. You must be governed by circumstances and must learn to apply the above stated methods to widely differing conditions. The above example is given you merely as an illustration, but its principles are correct and may be applied, with appropriate variations, to any case in which you wish to influence another at a distance, preparatory to a personal interview. The principle is the same, in all cases. The student who has gone over these lessons carefully will discover much that will be missed by the casual reader. He able to read between the lines. He will, if you are on the right track, much that has been stated will appear plainer to you with each. You will get new ideas every time you take up a lesson reading and read it, whilst the casual reader will merely skim over it and not enter into its spirit, the result being that such person will miss the esoteric teachings and will only see the outward or exoteric meaning, and will find the explanations about as clear as mud. This is just as it is and exercises intended. One man will find coal plainly will diamond imbedded in earth, whilst another find the exposed, and composed of the same material. Coal are but both diamond, seek and ye shall find. Ask and ye shall receive. In concluding this lesson, let me say that whilst the powers findeth that which he seeketh of the mind, as illustrated in the forms set forth in this and preceding lessons, may appear wonderful, The power of thought as exemplified by what is known as the adu-tire-hour J far exceeds the phases of which I have told you. To impart to lesson, I will endeavor you an idea of this wonderful subject in our next personal magnetism. Lesson XL, the reductive quality of thought. Prentice Mulford's theory: thoughts are things thought, a dynamic force, mind and matter, identical miracles of nature. Professor Gray's experiments with vibrations, wonderful results. Professor Williams' significant statement: food for thought, character of thought, vibra, murky thought waves and fleecy thought waves. Your thoughts retain a connection with you and affect you. Thought auras, like attracts like, a wonderful manifestation of psychic phenomena, results of fear or worry. Thoughts, advantage of confident thinking, curses, like chickens, come home to roost, sucrite thinking, successful men, the result of proper cess by thought, realized their ideal, requisites for success, I can and will, others attracted toward you, anything yours you only want hard enough. Helen Willman's theory. Shanzai is if it, that great writer on the power of the mind, Prentice Mulford, has summed up much of his philosophy in the statement, our thoughts are things. In these words he gave expression to a TV mighty truth, which, if fully apprehended by mankind, would revolutionize the world. Thought is not only a dynamic force, it is a real thing, just as is any other material object. Thought is merely a finer form of matter, or a grosser form of spirit. You may call it either, with equal correctness. Matyost but a _grosser form of mind, mind but a finer form f matter. There is but one substance in nature, but that substance has many forms, ranging from the most material, so-called, forms, to the highest form, spirit. When we think, we send out vibrations of a fine ethereal sub-forward/stance which is as real as the finer vapors or gases, the liquids. We do not see thought, neither do we see the finer. We cannot smell or taste thought, neither do we smell or taste the pure air. We can feel it, however, as many, the solids, vapors or gases. The reductive quality of thought. 65. Can testify, which is more than we can say of the powerful magnetic vibrations of a mighty magnet, which, whilst exerting it a piece of steel weighing a force sufficient to attract toward 100 pounds, is absolutely without effect upon us. Its vibrations may pass through our bodies and exert its force on the steel, while we may be unaware of its existence. Light and heat send out vibrations of a lower intensity than those of thought, but the principle is the same. The evidence of the five senses is not absolutely necessary to establish the existence of a material substance or force. The annals of science are full of proofs of this fact. Professor Elisha Gray, an eminent scientist, says his The Miracles of Nature little book, there is much food for speculation in the thought that they're sound waves that no human ear can hear, and color waves / the long, dark, soundless space of light that no eye can see. Exists between 40,000 and 400 trillion vibrations per second, and the infinity of range beyond 700 trillion 9 billion vibrations per second, where light ceases, in the universe of Inti, makes it possible to indulge in speculation. Williams, in his, /ra, r, work entitled Short Chapters in Science says, there is no gradation between the most rapid undulations or tremblings that produce our sensation of sound, and the slowest of those which give rise to our sensations of gentlest warmth. Is a huge gap between them, wide enough to include of motion, or there another world lying between our world of sound and our world of heat and light, and there is no good reason whatever for supposing that matter is incapable of such intermediate activity, or that such activity may not give rise to intermediate sensations. provided there are organs for taking up and sensifying these move j ments. I cite the above authorities merely to give you food for thought, not to attempt to demonstrate to you the fact that thought vibrations exist. The last mentioned subject would be far beyond the scope and purposes of this work, and only can be touched upon herein. Personal magnetism. 66 The character of Yajojmj vibe happy smiley jupong the caricature of the thought itself. / Some say that they have, if thoughts had color, and we should see our fear out worry thoughts as murky, heavy, clouds hanging close to the earth, our bright, cheerful and happy, confident, I can and I will thoughts as light, fleecy, vapory clouds, traveling swiftly and mingling with others of their kind, forming fleecy cloud banks, high above the level of the dense, mephitic, foul exhalations produced by fear and worry I can't thoughts. No matter how far your thought waves may travel, they retain certain connection with you and exert an influence over you as you cannot easily get rid of the influence of these well as others. Children of your mind. If you have been sending out bad thoughts, you are subject to their influence, and your only hope neutralizes to and counter them by sending out strong, new thought waves of the proper sort, or by a the I am, and thereby creating a mental aura, or by both means. The old sayings like attracts like and birds of a feather / flock together are both literally exemplified by the tendencies of thought waves. There is what is known as the reductive quality of thought, the word adductive being derived from the Latin, word ductumj to jarring to of thought is the manifestation of this quality. One of the most wonderful features in the realm of psychic phenomena. / fear or worry thoughts will attract others of their own kind, and / will combine with them, the result being that you will be afflicted not only by the product of your own mind, but also by those emanati / from the minds of others, the whole forming a heavy burden. / and the longer that you persist in that line of thought, the heavier. On the other hand, if you will think bright and happy thoughts, they will draw to themselves others / of the same degree, and you will feel brighter, more cheerful and happier from their combined influence. This is absolutely true. You are not asked to accept it on faith alone. Try it and will be your burden. Cheerful convinced. But, in the experiment, be sure to couple the thoughts with a feeling of confidence in he outcome, and you will obtain either a reductive quality of thought / much better and quicker results. 67 Half-hearted, doubting thoughts / have only a small percentage of the force of confident, expectant / vons. I if you think along the lines of discouragement, lack of see or fidani, afraid / no I can why lines, you will attract to yourself the force of other murky thoughts of the same keyed happy smiley detailed you will find that you really can't, and moreover, everyone else / will seem entertain just the same _ caritinian to regarding your ability. Earnest, confident, fearless, thought wave Ndrial will attract to your self the similar thought waves of others, which will still further stimulate and strengthen you, and help you accomplish your 7 aims. If you send out jealous, envious thoughts, they will come home their mates with them, and you will be wretched until bringing so will waves of hate return to harm you, having gained force and power on their journey. The old proverb curses like chickens come home to roost is much nearer the real truth than is generally supposed. Anger thoughts arouse anger in the other man, unless he has rendered himself positive to them, and he sends back his return thought waves, besides which other anger waves mingle and help on the vicious work. You have heard people say that a man always finds what he looks for. Of course he does, he cannot help it, for his thought attracts other S of G / same sort, and he sees a world F underscore the underscore same underscore color as his mental / E effect passes off. I spectacles. Good thought attracts good, evil thoughts, evil. If you hate a man and send him your hate thoughts, you will get hate in return. In the thought world, you get back what you send out. With good interest. Send out back / kind thoughts, and kind thoughts will return to you, with compound interest, and you will find yourself greeted by a kind, helping world, and will be much the gainer. If _ILIF from a selfish point of view, it pays to underscore the th best underscore G tights if you will practice thinking along these lines for, say, 1 underscore month you / and will face a hating and hateful world. I personal magnetism. 68 Find the greatest difference in things, the greatest change in your J underscore self, and you will find that you look white aversion and disgust upon you Arnold me are your total miseram way of thinking, a D would not all return to it under any eonc iteration npj underscore noilka underscore a lorchen T month will have passed you will he conscious of the helpful force of the responsive thought waves, and your life will seem entirely different to you. Try it. Try it N0V7. You will never regret it. There are 2 particularly bad thoughts which you should root out, first of all, and you will find that, when you have rid yourself of them, the balance will die out of their own accord. To pair and hate. Of the others. I allude these 2 foul weeds are the parents of most bear Warwick's JS underscore th underscore old T underscore lulled oh happy smiley envy, malice and anger are some of the numerous brood claiming hate as their parent. Destroy the old ones and you will not be troubled with their offspring. Close underscore resemblance underscore to its chpatha I will speak further on this point in the lesson on character building. I will now proceed to another phase of the adductive quality J of thought. I refer to its exhibition along the lines of successi by 8 thinking. It may seem almost incredible to you, but it is a fact, that successful men owe their greatness to their earnest, forceful, /centrated thought vibrations. They fixed their mind upon the recognition of the tine line of thought, brought the aid of will to bear on that line of thought, allowed that line of thought to mold their characters, went straight to the mark at others had aimed for the which they had aimed in the beginning. Same mark, but failed because they had failed to hold the thought, and had allowed themselves to become discouraged, intimidated, tempted or coaxed away from their ideal. The requisites for the successful following up of a thought ideal to the end, are, first, an overpowering desire, not a mere wish, second, a strong belief in your ability to accomplish your desire, not a mere half-hearted faith, and, third, an invincible determination to win, not a mere backboneless I'll try to, the reductive quality of thought. 69 The above qualities of mind will invariably win out if they will mold the character to suit the task, assisted in. Happy smiley though art takes form in action, they will endow you with strong powers of influencing others, they will produce the thought waves / of the quality to attract other thought waves to your aid. If you think I can't thoughts, you project vibrations which will lead others to feel that indeed you cannot, and they will have no use for you or need for your services. Self-preservation makes men fight shy of fellows of this kind. The world is not attracted towards I can't men. This form of thought produces junctions that repel rather than attract. But think I can will thoughts, and the vibratory caret waves will go dancing along, charged with their inspiriting L message, and the world will be strongly attracted towards you, J, and things will come your way. Strong men will feel a fellow feeling jo ad underscore you underscore and wib caret gl add to co-op great underscore with you. W happy smiley men will feel your strength, will need your aid, and will be unconsciously influenced by and attracted to you. Caret example on the attracting properties of thought. This V is and try it. The adductive quality of thought does more than this. It / also draws toward you men who are interested in the same line / GI work. They feel attracted toward you and you to them, and you each aid one another, to your mutual advantage. It draws toward you men who need your services, or whatsoever you have to offer, and they avail themselves of it, to your advantage. It toward you those who will help you and advance your / interests. Did you ever feel attracted toward some fellow of this attracts kind, and help him before you got through with him? Of course you have. Why? Why do you like to pay to one eyes some underscore in and caret and fight shy of caret lealing with others just as good? Just the power of / thought vibrations. That's all. Then the same quality of thought will attract you toward others whose vibrations are pitched on the same scale, and you will instinctively find those who will be of service and aid to you. / I tell you that your own will come to you if you will only recognize the law. 1. Personal magnetism. 70. It is a strange thing and difficult to explain, without leading you into metaphysical depths, but the measure of success by this PL and CMS to depend materially upon your and G, TE / underscore in JTHE force. A half-hearted belief will bring only halfway results, whilst an TT earn, constant belief that you've I'll come to you will accomplish you on suits little short of marvelous. Cultivate that sort of belief, and accompany it with a firm mental demand for what you want, and you will succeed. A _agid ye shall receive, knock and it shall be opened unto you, but accompany the asking, and knocking with the firm belief and expectation of success. Helen Willman says he who dares assert the I may calmly wait, while hurrying fate meets his demand with sure supply. But the words calmly wait refer only to the state of mind, J, and indicates that calm, confident expectation of a sure thing. It does not mean that a man shall sit down and fold his ehs and do nothing more than calmly wait for hurrying fate to drop its reward in his lap. Oh, no. Helen Willmans never meant that she is not built that way. The man who is possessed of the dominating desire, and concentrated thought impulses, does not sit down and merely wait. He couldn't do that without sacrificing kiss. Thought manifests itself in keen desire and earnest pursuit. Action. The firmer the thought, the stronger the action. You may want a thing the worst way, and be fully confident of your ability to secure it, but you are going after that thing the best you know how, and are going to get it. You will agree with Garfield, who said, do not wait for a thin just go out and turn ething up. That has the right ring about it. Go out and turn something up with all your might and main, but carrying with you the calm demand that that thing will be turnage up as the result of your going out and turning. And you will feel all the time the confident expectation of the thing obeying your command. I wish that my space would allow me to tell you of the wonder the reductive quality of thought. 71 Full results of this plan of thinking and acting, but I can merely touch upon it and call your attention to the workings of the law. But, after all one must learn a teaching by experience before they will appreciate its truth. The I am is not satisfied in any other. I want everyone who listens this lesson to start in and practice this new thought plan. You will have to accept what I say on faith, at first, but you will soon begin to demonstrate its correctness by personal experience, and then you will know it to be true, and will push forward to success. /*I'm is yours, if you only and it hard enough. Just think _fic anything. Try I happy smiley tr it yum turns happy smiley d you, will succeed. It is the operation of a mighty law. Our next lesson will take up the subject of character building, and we show you that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he / personal magnetism. 72 Lesson 12. Character building by mental control. Man can make of himself what he will, regeneration no idle dream, strong faculties made stronger, weak faculties devil, the new regenerator, the law of mental control, the new path through the woods, making yourself over, to break up old thought habits and form new ones, the four great methods: force of will, hypnotic suggestion, autosuggestion, thought, the theory of each absorption, ideal treatment, full instruction of the four methods, showing their respective advantages and disadvantages. With illustrations of each, how to acquire a desired quality of mind, the practice of thought absorption, practical exercises and directions. Exercises 2-6, you are your own master, make of yourself what you living truth opt in I will. The student who has read the preceding lessons has doubtless said, reading some of the statements contained therein, after yes, that is all true enough, and I could accomplish these results if I but possessed the necessary qualities of mind and character. / seems to be the great stumbling block to many. They know just what is necessary to produce success, but because they do not possess just the characteristics of the successful man, they fancy that the prize is beyond their reach. There is no this greater mistake in the world than this false belief, this kind of fear thought, this lack of recognition of the power of the I am. Man can so mold his mind by the power of the will that he can make over himself, without a doubt. A man is just what he wills himself to, can make of himself practically what he will be. This is a bold statement, but it is absolutely true, and we have hundreds of instances of it in every city in this land. Hundreds of men can testify to its correctness, and many hundreds of others are on the road. Living truth. Each generation is no idle dream. It is a character building by mental control. 73 You will realize just what this means, if you will stop to consider that every effect has its cause. Business success is due to certain qualities of mind, character or temperament. Of these three qualities, the first is the only real one, as the last two are but the results of the first. Those who have the given qualities, produce the given result, those lacking the said qualities, fail to obtain the result. Grasp when once you realize that these qualities are within you, that you can make them a part yourself, of you will readily see that wonderful possibilities are open to you. The acquirement of these qualities is the key to the situation. You know just what these necessary qualities are: ambition, determination, courage, confidence, patience, prudence, and the rest of the list. Energy, perseverance. /vc f/** all persons possess some of these qualities, and lack others. Some are strong in some of these qualities, and weak in others. And every man instinctively knows in just what respect he falls short. He may not admit it to his friends, or even to his wife, but deep down in his inner consciousness lurks the knowledge of the truth. If he could acquire the missing qualities he would that. Know just what to wish for. By a mere no doubt about, but he lacks the confidence and perseverance thought to be necessary for the acquirement of that which he knows he needs. he is not willing to pay the price of attainment. If some great scientist would announce to the world that he had discovered some wonderful chemical combination, or some new serum that would develop the shrunken and atrophied faculties of the mind, and which would render a man strong in the qualities wherein heretofore he had been weak, what a rush there would be for the new regenerator. Thousands would want it, and every man would be able to tell just what brand of serum he needed. He would need no diagnosis or prescription for that. Every man would be able to diagnose his own case and order the serum indicated by his symptom. One would want triple extract of energy, another, the stick-to-it brand, another, the vial bearing the confident I can label, and so on. They would all know that if they could get the proper kind of serum, they would be able to round out their characters, and command success. Personal magnetism. 74 Now, there is no drug that will produce this result. Never will, and there but the desired result can be obtained by the operation of the law of mental control. I can give you but a general idea of the workings of this great law, but if you will pay attention to what I have to say on the subject, you will grasp the principle, and will be able to work out your own salvation. The first point to remember is that we are all creatures of and mentally. Our characteristics are largely the bodily result of habits of thought, which make to form. We may have inherited impulses form certain habits, and more difficult, and we consequently move along the lines of easier to it others, the least resistance, but the character certain acquired habits is, after all, the result of we follow well-worn mental paths, in preference to making new paths through the woods, even although we know that the new path would be the better, by far, and that be as easy to travel over as the present one, when it was finally formed. We know all this. It is an old story. Then why do we not start in to make the new path? Simply because it is we lack the willpower, determination, and too much trouble. It would I admit that it is no easy task, but think of persistency to do it. The reward. These things are ancient history to you, of course, but I have something else to say to you on the subject that is not so antiquated. I purpose to make you a present of a labor-saving path maker which is guaranteed to clear away the underbrush and rubbish in but a fraction of the time, and with much less labor, than the old plodding clearing away process. This new plan enable you to is very simple, but very effective, and will make yourself over without the ripping apart upon the old method. I will tell you about process attendant it in as few words as possible. I have already explained to you that your minds possess two planes of effort, two functions, the active and the passive. The active function does the volitional, original thinking, whilst the passive function does only what it is told to do by the active character building by mental control. Function, or by others. 75 The passive function is the easygoing partner of the firm, to whom I introduced you in a previous lesson. It is this part of the mind upon which notists operate, after lulling to sleep the active function, the critical partner. The passive function, although in a we know how rules us, unless to sense the inferior, really manage it. It is the habit function, the beaten track function, of whose existence all conscious. It is easily influenced, we are, but nevertheless is set in, and over something which you wish it to believe, and it will end up in accepting the new thought and being as set in the new notion as it was in the former one. This is the secret of breaking up the habits of thought, action, the suggestion upon which the passive disposition, character, function acts may come from your own active mind, or from its ways. Tell it a thing over, mind of another. This is the explanation of the beginning of a habit, good or bad. To break up old thought habits, and to replace them with new more of several plans may be used. One may accomplish the result by sheer force of will, another by hypnotic suggestion from an experienced qualified operator, another by what is known as autosuggestion, given by your active to your passive mind, a fourth by that which I will term thought habits of thinking, one or absorption. Breaking up thought habits by sheer force of will is a most difficult task, as most of us know, for we have all tried it. It is a plan by which only the strongest succeed, whilst the weaker are defeated and relinquish the effort, encouragement and despair. We experiencing additional disaccomplish this result by the strengthening of the will, or more correctly by the strengthening mind by the will, enabling it to and simply command the passive function to drop the old thought habit and adopt the new in its place. It is a magnificent feat, but very difficult of performance. The same result can be obtained by easier plans. The very habit of making the passive mind more amenable to the commands of the active function can be acquired by the easier plan of which I will speak in this of the active function of the step-in lesson. Personal magnetism. 76. The second plan, the changing of the thought habit by HIP being followed by many, with excellent notic suggestion, has results, always, that the operator thoroughly understanding his profession, was a proper person, and being fully AC of eradicating undesirable latest methods in this connection, I would say that one should be very careful in whose hands they place themselves for treatment quaint with the thought habits. One should not trust their case to a person just of this sort. Because that person could give hypnotic suggestion, one would not employ a man as cashier of a bank, just because the applicant could keep books, and count money rapidly. The third plan, that of producing the result by autosuggestion, is good, especially when accompanied by thought absorb. In autosuggestion you simply keep on repeating passive to the mind the statement that the new habit exists, ignoring the old one, and the passive mind, although inclined to be a little rebellious just at first, it will adopt the truth. As gestion doers will eventually accept what you say as new thought habit as its own thought, some people under like circumstances. Practically self-hypnosis of the passive autosug mind by the it is a case of every man his own hypnotist. The third plan, thought absorption, consists in the placing active mind of yourself in a perfectly passive condition, at frequent intervals, and fixing the mind intently upon the idea or mental statement, that the new habit exists, picturing yourself, by an effort of the man possessed of the desired qualities. You should carry the thought with you continually, picturing imagination, as being a yourself as possessing the desired habit, in every leisure moment, day and night, and in other ways acting out the belief. This is purely an action of the passive mind, assisted by the imagination, which have been attained by seem little short of marvelous. It is by far the easiest, and one of the most effective methods of making over your character. The imagined thing becomes a reality in a comparatively short time, and action follows close upon the heels of thought. In my opinion, the combination of autosuggestion and it seems very simple, but the results it character building by mental control. Thought absorption building affords, if persisted in, it the ideal treatment in will accomplish the 77 character most marked results in a comparatively short space of time, the effect being felt from the very first. Do not pass over this lightly because it is a secret worth thousands of dollars to you, seems so simple. And one which you would not part with for any money, once you have experienced its benefits. I will now give you a brief explanation of the several methods above referred to. Let us take the fear, worry, as an excellent illustration of a bad habit of thought, for it does more to unfit one for the duties of life than all the rest of the bad thoughts combined, and also brings with it the vile brood of miserable weakening thought habits of which it tration is it thought habit, affords the parent. The man who has torn out by the roots the vile fear thought, worry thought, has progressed a long distance the road to freedom. Never will, but it on. Fear-tout never helped anyone, and has wrecked the careers of thousands of men and women, paralyzing their energies, preventing their progress, enfeebling their minds, and diseasing their bodies. We have all felt it, and those of us who have banished it would not return life isn't entirely to its thraldom under any consideration. Different thing to the man who has rooted out this noxious weed. He becomes an entirely different order of being. Things most of the we fear never occur, and the few that do occur can be routed by a bold front, aided by the strength which the absence of fear and worry imparts. The energy and vital force wasted on worry is more than sufficient to enable us to conquer our real troubles when they occur. You remember the tale of the old man, on his deathbed, giving his son good advice, who said, "Carrot John, I have lived 80 years and have had many troubles, the majority of which never occurred." The old man merely voiced the the moral ends of all men or women who have lived to old age. Is obvious. I will suppose that you are a victim to fear-tout, and I am very likely correct, and that you are about to try the personal magnetism. 78 Several plans of ridding yourself of will try self-it. I will suppose that you them in turn, one after the other. You will first try the power of the will, and will say to your I will not fear, I command fear to depart. This is the heroic remedy. I shall not go into details of this treatment. You know all about it already. You have all tried it. You will next try the effect of hypnotic suggestion, and will employ a good suggestionist who will place you in an easy position, cause you to relax every muscle, quiet every nerve and assume a state of mental calm, and who, having secured your undivided, concentrated attention, will give you strong, repeated suggestions of fearlessness, courage, hopefulness, confidence. The capable suggestionist will study each case closely, and carefully selected, and properly administered suggestions will by plant the seed of the new thought habit which is designed to sup etc. Plant and crowd out the old one. Splendid results are obtained. The writer has cured many persons of undesirable thought habits in this way, when they felt that they preferred outside help. He has also used this form of treatment by this line of treatment. In order to get the patient started on the right mental path, to give him confidence in himself and in the efficacy of this form of mental development, and then instructed him in the theory and practice of autosuggestion and thought absorption, leaving him to finish the fight himself. You will then try the power of autosuggestion, by constantly repeating to yourself the words I am fearless, I am confident, one have abolished fear, I fear nothing etc. These autosuggestions must be made earnestly, just as if you were suggesting to another person, and you must endeavor to live up to them. Let your passive mind see that you believe what you say, and it will have confidence in your statements, and, accepting them as correct, will act accordingly. If you go about this practice in good faith and in earnest, you will notice an improvement from the first. You must remember, however, that if the passive mind thrusts a worry thought upon your consciousness, you must redouble your assertion of fearlessness, until the intruder character building by mental control retreats. Is 79 This may bother you at the first, for the worry thought pretty confident of a friendly reception, but like any other mangy cur it will soon learn that you carry a club, and will beat a hasty retreat at the mere sight of it. Carry this idea of the cur and the club in your mind, and you will have but little trouble with the brute. You will learn to despise the worry thought as you do the snarling, snapping cur, and will not hesitate to deal him a good sound whack with your mental club, provided he stays long enough to be hit. He will soon retreat with his tail between his legs, and will thereafter manifest a wholesome respect for the club. Don't wait until he actually bothers you, but get in the habit of reaching out for the club at the first sight of the yellow hide of the mongrel. Randino you thought absorb carrot you place yourself in the suggestible, passive condition, just as you did at the bidding of the suggestionist when he was preparing to give you helpful suggestions. The more passive you become, the better will be the effect. In other words, you relax, let go, and become perfectly passive, bodily and mentally. You thus relieve the active mind from duty, and allow already to try the effects of this casion. The passive mind to have undisputed control. You then carry the thoughts of I am fearless and the others above given, calmly and firmly. Being you also picture yourself, in your imagination, as fearless, acting fearlessly, having moral and physical courage, and as driving away the worry mongrel with your mental club. Give your imagination full scope, but hold it down to the desired line of thought. You will find the exercises in Consonnu also will carry the thought of Tracian most valuable here. Fearlessness with you all the time, and endeavor to act the part naturally. I mean just what I say, assay the part just as does the actor when he assumes a role. The assumed character will soon become more real, and in time will be the real thing with you. After a little practice, it will become second nature to you, and eventually will become your raised nature. As I have said before, the combination of thought absorption and autosuggestion forms the ideal treatment in character personal magnetism. 80 Building. I will close this lesson with a few exercises designed to aid you in thought absorption. Do not forget to practice the concentration exercises, but do not wait to master them before commencing your fight on the Fiat Hautke. Commence this fight at once. Cut your club today, and just carrot A for the brute. Once get him out of the way, and you will be able to pursue the study of this subject, without the annoyance of having him around, howling and yelping at you. The treatment for lack of energy, confidence, perseverance, is etc., identical with that directed for Fiat Haut, the words of the autosuggestions and affirmations, of course, being altered to suit the particular case. The practice of thought absorption. Find a secure, quiet place, as far as possible removed from the scenes and sounds of the outside world. If the ideal conditions cannot be secured, you must content yourself with the best obtained. The idea is to shut out the distracting impressible conditions. Science, and enable you to be alone with yourself. 2. Place yourself on a couch, bed or easy chair, obtaining a position of absolute ease and comfort. Relax every muscle, withdraw the tension from every nerve, allow yourself to be perfectly limp all over, from head to feet. Breathe deeply and slowly, retaining the breath for several moments before expelling it. 1. Continue the deep breathing until a feeling of calm, restful quiet manifests itself. 3. Concentrate your whole attention inwardly upon your shutting out all outside impressions. Concentration exercises will enable you to do this. Having obtained the proper conditions of bodily and mental relaxation, fix your thought firmly, calmly and steadily upon the word fearless, letting its outward form sink into your forward/mind, as the dye into the wax. Give yourself up to the Gaupenta and the word. Then think of the meaning of the word, the charfor. Characteristics of a person possessing that quality, etc. 5. Form the mental picture of yourself possessed of the character building by mental control. Desired quality, Act 81 out in your mind, as in a dream, think it of yourself doing certain things by reason of the possession of the quality, see yourself in your relations to other men and women, you being possessed in short, of the desired quality. Indulge in a pleasant daydream having for possession of the quality desired. Its theme your give your imagination full sway, merely insisting upon it sticking to the text, and it's always showing you successful in the scenes and occurrences of the dream. Always conclude confidence. In fact, quality, with the idea 6. Dream with this thought of I am. Strong impression, and this will give you additional strength, and it is better to alternate the thought of the and recognition of the I am. Repeat these exercises as often as possible. Dripping of the water on the stone. Root and grows rapidly. It is like that the repeated thought takes. It is a good plan to practice this exercise when you retire for the night, and also during your waking hours. The exercise will not keep you from at night, if you have any slumber, but will rather tend to induce the desire for sleep. If you feel yourself dropping into a doze, do not resist it, as the impression which you carry with you into sleep will dwell with you, and will do its work even while you are slumbering. In the above exercises, I have used the word fearless and its accompanying thought, to illustrate the process of inducing thought absorption. You will understand that you are to use the word expressing the quality of which you are desirous of acquiring. If you wish to rid yourself of an undesirable quality, for instance, select the word expressing the opposite thought. If you are inclined to be indolent, select the word active or energy, etc., and so on. You must remember that when we wish to brighten a room, we do not have to drive out the darkness first, we merely open the blinds and admit the light, and lo, the darkness has departed. Do not bother about the undesirable thoughts, but concentrate on their opposites, and the positive will neutralize the negative. Do not become discouraged if the results do not come as soon as you would like. Remember, they are sure to come, in time. All that you require is repeated practice. The personal magnetism. 82 mind can be developed just as can be the muscle, and by the same process, continued practice. You have been given the means of remedying your defects. If you do not avail yourself of its benefits, it is simply because you do not want to. If you have desire strong within you, you will do it. If you lack the strong desire, I cannot help you. If you prefer to sell your glorious birthright of mental control for the worse of pottage of present indulgence, that is your own business. You are your own master. Make of yourself what you will. The art of concentering. Lessons IL. The art of concentering. Exoteric and esoteric meanings, a valuable AC, thought combined with action, volitional concentering, how to arrive, advantages of concentering, means of doing, result of your work, cure for best work, getting the encouragement, work out your own salvation, don't be a human doormat, get down to business, heaven not a loafing place, terrors, remedy for the blues, a work robbed of for discouragement, concentering no easy task, a simple experiment, advantages of concentering, no more waste effort or lost motion, focusing the attention, focusing thought, valuable remedy for mental and physical exhaustion, explanation, requisites of definition of the term requirement, full specific, its character centering. In ordinary conversation, we make frequent use of the word concentration in the sense of bringing together or diminishing in bulk and increasing in strength or consolidating etc. In order to avoid an erroneous conception, I have preferred to use the term concentering. A plain definition of the word concentering is the bringing to a common center or focusing. Carry in your mind the analysis of the word, thus, consenti, to bring to a center. The word concenter has its exoteric, or common, meaning, and its esoteric, or hidden, meaning, when used in connection with the exercise of the powers of the mind. The exoteric idea is the concentering of the mind upon the one particular thought or action, inhibiting all outside thoughts or impressions. The esoteric idea is the concentering of the mind upon the ego, the I am, inhibiting all thoughts of the material body or of the grosser self, and the first mentioned form of concentering is a most valuable acquirement for man in his everyday life. The second form is a most desirable acquirement dwelling in the higher regions of the soul. Personal magnetism. 84 For those who would know more of their real self, and who aspire to know something of the secrets of the in this lesson, silence. I will speak exclusively of the practical side of concentering, that being the purpose of this work. I have, however, given the reader giants of the esoteric phase, that he may know how to proceed if he is attracted to the same. The art of concentering upon a given thought or action, is one of the most desirable acquirements which a man can possess. We have been told the advantage of doing a thing with all our might and doing one thing at a time, and doing it well, etc. We all know of the painter who attributed his excellent work to the fact that he mixed brains in his paint, and of the miner who put a little brains into his pick. We know that the simplest task is better performed, if we but combine concentrated thought with the action. Workmen differ in degree according to the amount of concentrated thought placed in the man who takes an interest in his work and who finds an intellectual pleasure in his daily task, is the man who does the best work, and is also the happier man. The man who keeps his eye on the clock, or who leaves his pick in the air at their work, is a mere machine, and will never amount to anything, unless he changes his point of view regarding work. The man who thinks with his hands or who can carry a message to Garcia is in demand. He is a scarce article, and the sound of the whistle many employers are looking for him. When will our boys learn to appreciate this fact? Well, what has all this to do with concentering? Just this, that the interest and brains that a man puts into his work is the result of the man who an exercise of volitional concentering. Practices concentering in his daily life, shuts out distracting impressions, and gives his best thought force to the task before him, and does better work by reason thereof, whether he be day laborer, everyman, architect, clerk, salesman, poet, painter or banker. He may, and more any man who has arrived has developed the art of concentering. Not realize it, but he has, just the same. Will develop the art of concentering, will arrive. Try it and be the art of concentering. Convinced. 85 You can see it for yourself, it cannot help producing the result. If you concentrate on an object, and hold the thought firmly, you cannot help doing the best work, and if you do the best work you will receive the proper reward, providing you have the sense with which you were born, and have not allowed yourself to be hypnotized into a belief that you are a worm of the dust, or a human doormat. You do the best work, you will find a market for your services. If your present employer doesn't appreciate you, there are plenty of others who will. Have to do the work, don't forget that. But you will know man is going to be fool enough to pay you for something that you do not do. Oh, no, he is not built that way, and he would not arrive if he did. But, just the same, he will not permit you to leave his employ for that of his rival, if you do the best work, and you will do the best work if you only will get down to business, and concentrate. If you have been discouraged by your apparent lack of success in your vocation, just you learn how to concentrate and do it, spit on your hands and take a fresh grip, a little higher up, you just pull hard enough, and something will be sure to give at the other end of the rope. Don't and pull for all you're worth. You waste your time complaining of the oppression of capital asterisk and all that sort of thing. You are a concentrating man. If capital will soon fall all over itself to secure your services, or to buy your goods. Can't you see it, man? Of course you do. Well, then, stop fooling around about it, and get to work in earnest. Get a move on, and hustle. If you refuse to accept the means of financial salvation now offered you, why just lie around and be a human doormat all your life? Who cares, right? If a man is too lazy, the other thing. It serves him. Some of you fellows need a man around you with a spike to be saved. Why, just let him be club, with instructions to give you a good bang every time you slack up and engage in mental wool gathering. And get down to business. Stop your moon. Some people spend their life in dreaming of the hereafter, where they expect to spend their time now. They are sure to be fooled about all. Nature is in motion, and God is working hard every loafing around the throne. That personal magnetism. 86 day, and I believe that when you get to the other shore you will be confronted with a sign having thereon inscribed the words, "No loafing peckmatted. Work, you rob it of its terrors." If you take an interest in your start in, man, and work out your do it, and do it own salvation from poverty and unhappiness. Now, the man who can concentrate has at his hand a sure remedy for how. Why, just by shutting off the unpleasant thought and concentrating on a brighter subject. Now, don't say that idiots, that you can't do this. You can do it, if you acquire the knack. Thousands of people have found this plan as specific for the try it, and you will find that life will appear entirely different to you. Try it, and you will feel so good that you would not call the president your cousin. Try it, and you will feel the thrill of life along your keel and will thank God that you are alive, instead of cursing the day when you were born. You will do your work better, you blues discouragement, worry, fear, will feel better, you will indeed better. And the rest? Is it not worth the trial? You may have an idea that you know something about Conwell, maybe you do, let's see. Take up a lead pencil and try to sharpen it properly. Take your time to it, and turn out a first-class job. Now, see if you can concentrate on that centering. Pencil sharpening. To the exclusion of all outside thoughts, try to devote your best energy and thought to the task at hand. For the moment, live for the sole purpose of getting an A1 point on that pencil. Well, yes, I thought so. How did it feel? Pretty hard job, wasn't it? You need practice, young man. Exercises given in this lesson. Take up the and go over them until you can do anything, whatsoever, without your thought wandering. Anyone can concentrate upon an agreeable task, but just give them an unpleasant or monotonous job, and you will find that their thoughts will wander away in spite of them, that is, until they learn to concentrate by an effort of the will. That is the test, the ability to concentrate upon an unpleasant, unattractive, monotonous task. When you have overcome this trouble, you will know that you have broken the backbone of waste effort and lost the art of concentrating. Motion. 87 By concentrating you are able to focus your attention, thought and energy upon a given thing, thereby obtaining the best possible results. The when focused upon an rays of the sun, object by means of a sunglass, produce a heat many times greater than the direct rays of the same source of light and heat. With the attention. So it is, scatter it and you get but ordinary results, but focus it upon the thing to be done, and you obtain a wonderful amount of energy. The concentrating man focuses his attention, and thought force, upon an object, and the result is that his every action, voluntary and involuntary, is in the direction of the attainment of that object. As I said in a previous lesson, a man can have everything he wants if only he wants it hard enough. If his energies are focused upon a thing, to the exclusion of everything the force so generated and focused must bring the else result. The moral of all this is your might, whatsoever you do, do it with all, do it in earnest. Do one thing at a time, and do it well. In order to obtain the best results from the thought forces, as explained in preceding lessons, concentrating. You should acquire the art of by focusing the thought, you add to its strength, as a moment's reflection will show you. The exercises accompanying the preceding lessons should be accompanied by the exercises in concentrating. These exercises are more or tedious, less monotonous, but should be persisted in until perfected. and you will be repaid for your work by the conscious increase in our powers of concentering, which will be apparent from the first. There is one thing more that I wish to say to you, before starting in with the exercises, and that is to point out to you the advantage of concentering, as a means of mental and physical rest. If this was the only result obtainable by the exercises, it would be worth your while to acquire it. Suppose you feel completely tired out by some physical or mental labor, and are sadly in need of rest. If you lie down, the thought which has been occupying your mind returns to haunt you, and prevents your mind from obtaining the much-needed rest. The theory is that each personal magnetism 88 Toyaglit calls into operation, being the case, cells its and activity certain sets of brain cells, the other cells of course taking a rest in the meantime. We'll see, readily, that this when one set of brain become utterly fagged out by excessive exercise and work, only chance of getting an entire rest is for you to concentrate upon an entirely different line of thought, shutting out the cells you have just tired out, and which are still vibrating with excitement from the strong impetus given them. By concentrating upon the new thought, the old cells are relieved from further work and obtain a much-needed rest. These cells are hungry for work, and may attempt to return to their task in spite of you, but if you once have acquired proficiency in the art of concentrating, you have learned to master them. You doubtless remember the time when your brain felt exhausted by the hard work of the business day, but when you picked up an interesting novel you became so interested in it that your old brain cells knocked off for a while, and when the novel was completed you felt completely refreshed, notwithstanding the fact that the reading of the book was in theory itself no slight exercise of the mind. That is the now, put it into practice, and you will have no need to you will be able to put thoughts complain of mental overwork off and on, like your coat, changing them whenever you see fit. I will now give you a few exercises, the practice of which will enable you to develop the power of concentrating. In leaving this phase of the subject, I again would remind you that the underlying principle of concentrating upon a certain thought is the focusing of the attention, action. Any exercise which will strengthen the faculty of volitional inhibition of non-essential thoughts will be of value, the exercises herein given being merely furnished as suggestions of others. The practice of concentrating. 89 Lesson 14. The practice of concentrating. Shutting out outside impressions, conquering, cultivating willpower, training the body to obey the mind and the mind to obey the will, volitional control of muscular movements, not so easy of acquirement, sitting, exercises, controlling muscles of the arm, exercises, steadying the muscles exercises, cultivate equanimity and mental and physical ease, examples, getting rid of ugly habits of motion, volitional attention exercises developing same, direction for additional exercises concentrated attention upon outside objects, general explanation exercises in concentrating in attention still miscellaneous exercises. The first requisite of concentrating is the ability to shut out outside thoughts, sounds and sights, to conquer in attention to obtain perfect control over the body and mind. The body must be brought under the direct control of the mind under the direct control of the will. Mind needs the will is strong enough, but the strengthening by being brought under the direct influence of the will. The mind, strengthened by the impulse of much more powerful projector of thought vibrations than otherwise, and the vibrations have much greater the will, becomes a force and effect. In these exercises I will begin with training the body to readily obey the commands of the mind. The first exercise, and one which must be mastered before the succeeding exercises are undertaken, is the control of the muscular. This, at first sight, may appear very simple, but a few experiments will convince you that you have much to learn. The following exercises will be of great benefit to you in core movements. Imperfect control of the muscles. 1. Sit still. This is no easy task. It will at first try your powers of concentrating, to refrain from involuntary muscular personal magnetism. 90 movements, but by a little practice you will be able to sit stillly without a movement of the muscles, for 15 minutes or more. The best plan is to place yourself in an easy chair, assuming a comfortable position, then relax all over, and endeavor to remain perfectly quiescent for a period of 5 minutes. Continue this exercise, you can accomplish it with ease, and then increase after you have mastered the 10 minutes exercise, increase the time to 15 minutes, which is about as far as you need pursue the exercise. You should not tire yourself with this, or any other of our exercises. The better plan is to else until time to 10 minutes. Practice a little at a time, but as often as possible. Bear in mind that you must not sit in a rigid position, there must be no strain on the muscles, you must relax completely. This plan of relaxing will prove valuable to you when you wish to get a good rest after fatiguing physical exertion. It is an ideal rest cure and may be taken either sitting in a chair or lying down on a couch or bed. 2. Sit erect in your chair, with your head up and your chin out, and shoulders thrown back. Raise your right arm until it is turn your head and fix your gaze on your hand, and hold the arm perfectly steady for 1 minute. Repeat with the left arm. When you are able to perform this feat perfectly, increase the time to 2 minutes, then to 3, and so on until you are able to maintain the position for 5 minutes. The palm of the hand should be turned downward, this being the easiest position. By keeping the eyes fixed on the tips of the fingers, you will be able to see whether you are level with your shoulder, pointing to the right. Holding your arm perfectly steady. 3. Fill a wine glass full of water, and taking the glass between the fingers, extend the right arm directly in front of you. Fix the eyes upon the glass, and endeavor to hold the arm so steady. Commence with 1 minute exercises, and increase until the 5-minute limit is reached. Alternate right and left arms. 4. In 3-hour everyday life, endeavor to avoid a tense, strained condition of the muscles, when you should be at ease. Endeavor to acquire a self-poised attitude and demeanor. Cultivating that no quiver will be noticeable. The practice of concentrating. Easy, self-possessed 91 manner, in preference to a nervous, strained mental exercise will help you to acquire, over-Arxian's appearance. The proper carriage and demeanor. Stop beating the devils, such actions indicate a lack of self-carrot on the table or chair. Tattoo control. Don't tap on the floor with your foot, nor swing your feet backward or forward while talking or sitting. Don't rock backward and forward in a rocking chair, as if you were working a J machine at so much an hour. Don't bite your nails, nor chew your back or cheek, nor wiggle your tongue around in your mouth, lips whilst reading or studying, or writing. Why don't wink or blink get rid of any habit of twitching or jerking of any part of your eyes. The body, which may have become second nature to you. Stop it you can by carrying the thought and practicing train yourself to bear with equanimity and calm easily centering. Posture, noises which have been startling you heretofore, such as the banging of a suddenly closed door, the dropping of a or other object, etc. In other words, keep yourself well in hand. The above exercises will be of great assistance to you in getting forward yourself just where you want. The above exercises were given to teach you the art of controlling involuntary muscular movement, thus bringing your body under the control of the voluntary functions. The following exercises are designed to enable you to bring your voluntary muscular movements under the direct control of the will, in other words, to train the mental faculties producing voluntary muscular forward/back/ movement. Hands upon the and lying with the back of the hand on the table, the thumb being doubled over the fingers. Fix your gaze upon the fist for a while, and then slowly extend the thumb, keeping your whole attention fixed upon the act, just as if it was of the greatest importance. Then slowly extend your first finger, then your second, and so on until they are all open and extended. Then reverse the process, closing first the little finger and con B1. Sit in front of a table, placing your table, the fists clenched, tightening the closing until the fist is again in its original position, with the thumb closed over the fingers. Repeat with the book left personal magnetism. 92. Continue this exercise and 5 times at a sitting, and then increase it to 10 times. This exercise will make you tired but you must persevere you in the direction of training your attention by directing it to trivial and monotonous exercises. In addition, it will give you direct control over all of your muscular movements. You soon will feel the benefit accruing from these simple and apparently unimportant exercises. Do not fail to keep the attention closely upon the closing and unclosing of the fingers. That is the main point. If you neglect it, you lose the entire benefit as of importance to it is of the exercise. This exercise is nothing more or less than the old trick, B2. Often observed among our country cousins, known as twirling the thumbs. Place the fingers of one hand between the fingers of the other hand, leaving the thumbs free. Then slowly twirl the thumbs one over the other, with a circular motion. Be sure to keep the attention firmly fixed upon the ends of the thumbs. B3. Place the right hand on the knee, the fingers and thumb closed, with the exception of the first finger which must be pointed out in front of you. Then move the finger slowly from side to side, keeping the attention firmly fixed upon the end of the finger. These exercises may be extended indefinitely, and you may exercise your ingenuity in supplying additional ones under this head. The main idea is that the exercise shall consist of some trivial, familiar, monotonous muscular movement, and that the attention must be kept firmly fixed upon the moving part of the body. Your attention will revolt at the slavery enforced upon it forward/back/ and will endeavor in every possible way to escape its thraldom. This is where the training comes in, and you must insist that your attention does its work, from beginning to end, and not wander away to more congenial scenes or occupations. Think of yourself as a strict schoolmaster, and of your attention as a playful, fun-loving boy who tires of looking at his book and wishes to steal sly glances out of the window and door at the more attractive sights on the outside. Your business is to keep the boy at the practice of concentrating. 93. Book, knowing that it will be better for him, although he cannot see it just that way now. Before long, you will notice that you have a much better control over your muscular movements, carriage and demeanor, and will also observe an increased power of attention and concentrating in your everyday affairs, which will be of considerable advantage to you. See, this class of exercises is intended to aid you in concentrating your attention upon some material object not connected with yourself. Take some uninteresting object, such as a pencil, and carry it for 5 minutes. Concentrate your entire attention upon it intently, think of it, turn it over, consider it, think of its made, the process, think of nothing else but the pencil. Uses, its object, of the materials of which it is of manufacture, etc. Imagine that your chief object in life is the study of that pencil. Imagine that there exists nothing else in the world but you and the pencil. Only one world, and but two things in it, pencil and I. Do not let your attention get away from the pencil, but keep it down to its work. You will realize what a rebellious creature your attention is when you try this exercise, but don't let him get the upper hand of you. It is very tiresome to him, but when you have known it is for his own good, so stick to him. Cured the rebellious attention, you will have achieved a greater victory than you now realize. Many a time in afterlife, when you need the closest attention upon some matter before you, you will thank me for putting you onto this exercise. This exercise can be varied each day, always choosing some uninteresting and familiar object upon which to concentrate, and don't select an interesting object, for it requires no effort to concentrate upon that. You need something that will seem like work to the attention. The less interesting the object, the more the work, and the better the exercise. The trouble about this exercise is that you will soon run out of material, as the continued concentrating of the attention upon uninteresting objects will, in the end, cause the attention, in self-defense, to take an interest in. However, when you have the things upon which it concentrates reached this stage, you will have but little further need of the personal magnetism. 94 Exercise, as you then will be able to concentrate your attention upon anything, or anybody. The above exercises will be sufficient for your purposes, it being understood that you will extend the several exercises by you will not be at a loss for material upon which to practice, now material supplied by your own invention and ingenuity. Practice upon something occurring in your everyday work, that you have the main idea impressed upon your memory. The exercises given in the preceding lessons can be practiced more intelligently, now that you understand the advantage to be gained by concentrating. You will be able to carry the thought better, to direct more energy into suggestions, and into the project. Your eye exercises will take ownership of thought vibrations. New phase, and so will the exercises in telepathic volation, etc. You will be able to overcome bad habits, and acquire good habits in their place. In short, by the acquirement of the art of eon centering, you will be able to do everything better than formerly. You will have acquired a firm control over body and mind, and you are now the master of your inclinations. Not the power gained over yourself will manifest itself in the power to control others. The man who conquers himself will find that their slave has no trouble in impressing his will upon others. Continue the practice of concentrating and developing the amenability of the mind to the will, and you will become a very giant, compared to men who have not acquired this power. Try your willpower on yourself in different ways, until you feel confident that you have won the mastery of self. Be satisfied with nothing else. You have gained that, the mastery of others is already yours. When /valedictory. 95 Lesson 15. Valedictory. A mere hint at a great truth, latent, the practical side, the occult side. An understanding of the science of the mind has an elevating effect, recognition of the ego, a literature of froth and bubbles, a few grains of wheat among the chaff, practical knowledge scarce, but demanded, advice to seekers after the truth, the small flame, within you, a threefold mighty dynamic force. I am strength, new resolvist, new strength, the brotherhood of man, self-respect, do not be imposed upon, don't be a yellow dog, a short rule of action, do not misuse your newfound power, a hint at a great truth, farewell advice, fineness. Intuitive perception of the truth powers developed. I feel that those who have followed me through the preceding lessons must have felt within them the intuitive assurance of the truth contained in the instruction herein given. In a work of do no more than merely direct this size and character, I can attention of my readers to the great facts underlying the science of the mind, to give them a hint of the great truth, to acquaint them with a few exercises which, if followed conscientiously, will enable them to develop their latent powers. More than this would be beyond the scope of this work, which is intended to give popular instruction in the exercise and use of personal psychic influence in the affairs of everyday magnetism and the average life. Reader will rest satisfied with the practical side of the subject, and will not feel inclined to enter into the occult phase. To the few who feel an inclination to pursue the subject still further, who would penetrate behind the veil, there are other sources of information open, which I will be pleased to point out to those who may so request. A letter will reach me if addressed in care of the University of Psychic Science, Chicago, 111. Without attempting to go further into the subject, I would say personal magnetism. 96. That, in my opinion, an intelligent understanding of the laws underlying the science of mind supplies one with a most elevating rule of life and conduct, brings to man a realizing sense of his own individuality, strength and power, a consciousness of the reality and immanence of his real self, the I Am. The recognition of the ego carries with it a sense of new duties and the means of performing them. The student of what is known as the New Thought finds himself surrounded with a mass of literature, much of which consists of froth and bubbles. Grains of thought are there, but are surrounded by bushels of verbal receives chaff. The searcher for ideas, words, words, words. The works on the subject, which and are really worth the time and trouble of reading, are few. The student, alas, knows not where to find them. Practical, understandable works on this subject are being demanded by many minds, and, following the invariable rule which causes the production of the thing which is earnestly demanded, works of this kind are sure to appear. Speed the day. To the student I would say, do not be deluded by isms or leaders. You possess within you the real truth, and it will manifest itself to you, in time, developing gradually and naturally, as the flower. The recognition of the I Am will bring its reward. Small flame within will throw light on all subjects and illumine them. Pursue your way through life, earnestly and calmly. Hurry and haste, bustle is not energy, noise is not strength. The is not man of quiet, calm, earnest and persistent qualities, reaches the goal long before his brother of opposite tendencies. Confidence, demand is a threefold, mighty dynamic force, which would solve many problems if man but realized it. The wise man uses that which the fool neglects. The stone which expectation and calm the builders rejected becomes the cornerstone of the temple. Do not crawl on your belly, like a worm, do not humble yourself in the dust and call upon heaven to witness what a despicable creature you are, do not call yourself a miserable sinner worthy only of eternal damnation. No. 1,000 times, no. Else to valedictory. 97. Your feet. Raise your head and face the skies, throw back your shoulders, and fill your lungs with nature's ozone. Then say to a part of the eternal life principle I am created, am filled with the divine breath of life, nothing can hurt me, for I am a part of the eternal. Yourself, I, after the divine image, I, go your way, friend, strong in your new resolves, strong in your new-found strength. To your brother men. Do your duty, first to yourself, then eonize the brotherhood of man, realize that all men are your brothers for all of that. Poor lot of relations, but carrot pretty, do not impose on your brother man, but if you give in to him against your judgment and conscience, you not only hurt yourself, but also injure him. Do not start fights, but let no man smite you with impunity. If a man smite you on one cheek, do not turn to him the other, but do a little smiting on your own account and smite hard. Do not smite him with hate in your heart, and do not hesitate to forgive him after he has come to carrot. The doctrine of non-resistance is misunderstood. It does not mean that you should be a backboneless creature, a sheep-like, rabbit-hearted specimen of humanity. No, no, when you allow a man to impose on you and wrong you, you are not acting right toward the other man. Duty to him demands that you let him know just where he is at. Do not let him impose on you. I am speaking of real aggression or invasion of your rights, now, not of fancied wrongs or mountains made of molehills. That is the but. Do not allow hate to find a lodging place in go through the world with the grace of God in other extreme. Your heart, and a good, strong hickory club in your hand. Use the club for offense, never do that, but defend yourself with it. Don't around to if you are clad in the armor of a righteous and the world sees that you have self-respect and it will treat you with respect. The dog who maintains a confident, calm demeanor, is in but little danger of cause. Stand no nonsense, feeling the boot toe of the passerby, but the white-livered cur who draws himself up, and places his tail between his legs, that gets he may present a better aim for the kick. What he expects kick he gets. What is true of the dog is equally true of the one. / Personal magnetism. Man. If you have followed the advice and instructions contained in this little work, you will not have many kicks aimed at you. No kicking of dogs on your part, you must be, but remember above that. An old writer has summed up man's duty to man in the following words, which should be inscribed in letters of gold over every doorway in the land: weing no man, and unto man his due. If the above words formed the rule of action and life of men, there would be no need of lawyers, courts, or prisons. Life would then seem one long, sweet song. Try to do your part in bringing about this result. Once more, I caution you not to misuse your newfound power. Use it freely, in your own behalf, in every legitimate way, but harm no man by reason of, or by means of, it. If you fail to grasp the meaning of any of the teachings, do not drag the gift of the Spirit through the mud. Timed in this little work, do not feel discouraged, for it will come to you later. Ead over the lessons which seem the most difficult to you, and then place yourself in the relaxed condition of body and mind. Enter the silence, and a new light will break upon you. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Ask, and ye shall receive. And now, friends, we have come to the parting of the ways. We may meet again, but, if not, let us part feeling that we are. If I have done you awakened in you new thoughts, hopes and aspirations, may you make them manifest in actions and results. Our little journey, along the banks of the stream, has been pleasant to me, and I trust that I have not bored you, nor caused none the worse for the short acquaintance. Any good, if I have, you to regret the acquaintance. Not a chance acquaintance, ye may rest assured, for nothing ever happens. I thank you for your kind attention. Finesse.